it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. You're overdue. I just felt it's something that makes you look good, and that's cool, and you know, I'm all for it, but I think you need to tone this down because now it's getting intrusive to the show. But they can go in the afternoon for a U.S.
Hold
show,
on a second.
As they did there, and they
Dave?
can do 180,000 buys for an afternoon show, which they've also done for All In. So
okay,
we know they can do. We know they can do big.
Can I continue this before you cut me off? We know one thing.
Yes.
We know it might have done well because it went on first.
I'm not saying it would.
Here's my thing, Dave.
But here's okay. Wait. Okay, here's the thing. Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a match.
That's the problem, Dave. It should mean something to you.
Give him a quick squash win just to show that, like, you know, he's not a loser.
Ooh, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week. Hashtag DMDMW. I'm your host, Phil Marks of Pro Wrestle Times. We're live here on YouTube. The replay will also be on YouTube over at youtube.com/@Pro Wrestle Times. This is, of course, youtube.com/@Pro Wrestle Clips. And over on wherever you get your podcasts, Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week audio version, pardon me, is also going to be available there. Welcome, everybody. And you can use the RSS feed in the description there and just manually search the show if you can't find it. And be sure to hit like and subscribe on YouTube and X, hit the retweet and all of that. If you'd like to support this show, again, hit like, subscribe, consider super chatting in or becoming a member. I do bonus shows weekly, and I'll be responding to those throughout the show. Tonight, we have Bryan Alvarez coping over his haters, a.k.a. Phil Marks. And, you know, just WWE, not even too much of WWE, actually, just AEW stuff and Bryan Alvarez cope. It's always fun to talk about. Dave Meltzer completely and utterly sweeps for Tony Khan and AEW. It's like disgusting, the sweeping he's been doing. And he goes off on Eric Bischoff and other old podcast grifters as if Dave Meltzer himself isn't one of those. Yeah. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for everybody in the IWC's favorite segment from PWT Live Show. So popular that it became its own show. And it is called Dave Meltzer's Dumb Moment of the Week. Glutes in the chat for this emotional damage we're about to get to today. So we kick things off with this week's Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week program with, you know, usually we start with star ratings, but this show I wanted to start with some throwback clips that the GOAT Meltzer Said What on Twitter, go and give him a follow, was so gracious to post some of these throwback clips here of Dave Meltzer just being a goober. And so I want to go through some of those. So I should have had it queued up. So we have a couple Dave throwbacks. One of which is a response to, well, we're going to go back to that when we talk about the grifters and whatnot. Where's this gosh darn throwback clip here that we had? Oh, yes. This was it. So rewind. So the GOAT, Meltzer Said What? Make sure you guys go and give him a follow. He was kind and gracious enough to post and send me some throwback clips. And this week we're not starting with star ratings because you know, there wasn't any big events, I guess. Well, I guess Full Gear, but I don't know if Dave, he's probably dropping those later tonight. And this show started early this week because I got some shit to do. But Dave Meltzer took part of the intro of Kenny Omega's Omega Man documentary. And this is from 2019. So let's take a look at this.
You know, I'm watching this going like, this is not just a 5-star match. This is above a 5-star match, and this is one of the best matches I've ever seen.
Look at the egregious thigh slap. The most egregious thigh slap ever.
One of the best matches I've ever seen.
I'm eye slapping. I'm face palming, listening to. It was the greatest match ever. It was above 5 stars. The documentarian is like, isn't 5 stars the limit? Yeah, but I mean, it's like a Richter scale. He's like, all right, let's hurry this along. I got shit to do. So that was a little bit of throwback, Dave. And we have a couple laced in throughout, but it's relevant to what, we're talking about today. But Jeff Lane, 22, pointed this out. And Vince Russo's co-host over there on the brand. Jeff Lane said, somebody smarten me up as to why people are replying to Meltzer's tweets with stuff like, Uncle Dave, thanks for donating the kidney I needed. And Dave, thank you for donating to women's studies. They're bots. He's a robot. Ultron. It's Grok Dave. He's integrated with AI. They're fucking bots.
You what?
And so here's another throwback clip of Dave Meltzer saying this. This guy here named Positivity Account. It says, yep, Meltzer claiming they have nothing for Shane McMahon, the son of the owner and the most pushed character for a year. Shane was been doing jury. Okay, is this one of these Malaysian accounts or whatever? This is just a throwback owning of Dave Meltzer. And so Meltzer said, what post? Vince doesn't have anything for Shane because he's on jury duty. Maybe my favorite quote of the entire year.
This person wants to know, where's Shane McMahon been? He just vanished off television.
The writers haven't had anything for him, and Vince
Nothing for him. He was in the middle of a giant storyline with Kevin Owens. He vanished. How do you have nothing for him?
Well, Vince is the guy who's been writing the show, and he's forgotten about him.
He's forgotten about his son?
He forgot about his son?
Forgot about his son's angle, yeah. I mean, he hasn't been on.
This person wants to know if you think Terry Gordy would have been a Hall of Fame.
I mean, I'm not about to sweep for Vince McMahon here, rather, but yeah, it turns out he was on jury duty. So this is back in 2019. And shout out Meltzer for sending me this. But Dave, incapable of saying, I don't really know, I haven't asked, or I just don't know. Instead, wings it and makes up an answer. Then it comes out Shane was on jury duty. So again, just a throwback, Dave. We might have to do a whole show that's just old Dave stuff now. No, maybe we could do a whole episode like that, or just make it a segment within a segment. But I absolutely love that so much, because even back then it just shows you, like, what, 6-7 years ago he's just talking shit, and then you realize, oh, he has been for like the entire 30 to 50 years that he's been doing this credibly, But Dave's lost all credibility, and he's lost all credibility in the eyes of his peers, which is what we're going to get to. But one guy who's really been hurting his credibility lately is Bryan Alvarez. And he copes about it when it comes to his haters. He addresses his haters. So these are screen grabs from accounts that, I'm sure have appeared on this show that we've either laughed at or agreed with or whatever. And Bryan Alvarez will respond to them the same week or the week after he blocked PWT, which is like 4 weeks or 5 weeks into Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week and making fun of Bryan's faux outrage. So let's hear what he has to say about people hating on his bullshit ass opinions about NXT and WWE just in general, is faux outrage when it comes to NXT. I'm sure more people are catching on to it.
The people are angry that I'm talking about how they don't put the title on any win at all on Javon.
They put wins on Javon a lot.
So guy goes, the chase is always more exciting than the actual title reign. Is that right?
Like most of the time, yes, especially when they're the white meat babyface, especially now with the fickle fans, but also that doesn't even need to apply to Javon yet, but yeah, that is typically right. Yeah, I would say.
That's actually not right. It says longtime wrestling fans should already know this. There are many title reigns that are significantly better than the Chase.
Right. And there's many instances where that's not the case, bro. So you're not just going to dismiss. It's like in general, you can't even say one or the other is more prevalent because maybe you'd make the argument the Chase, right? And finally capturing the gold. I think that you could make a stronger argument for it, but I would even say in general, you can't even go one way or the other. There's been many of every instance, right? So with Javon, they're just milking it.
Hogan, Bruno,
Cody. I mean, we could go on and on.
Well, Cody's Chase was really good.
This guy goes, the guys who...
Exactly. We could go on and on. You named the three. You named two of the most obvious, right? And then you said Rhodes, where I think his Chase was better than him actually carrying the title.
Ate everything WWE.
And Lance Storm seems to agree. I think most people agree. And that's why Rhodes was able to lose it to Cena, get it back. If he lost it to Drew, then got it back, no one would care. He doesn't need to be this long reigning champion like Roman Reigns was. Roman's title run, how'd you guys skip over that? Roman having the belt that long was better than him chasing it. Everything they did until he turned heel and got it, we fucking booed and hated. And you guys shit on. So
love everything AEW.
He's just coping right here and gave a non-answer. And then when Lance Storm even gave him 1 ounce of pushback on, well, the Chase was good. He just switches the subject, can't even name 3. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of people, it's them getting to the title that's more memorable than them actually having the title. It's what them actually capturing it is the peak. And then you're kind of floundering with opponents, and that's happened to people we've all loved in pro wrestling. Chris Benoit is one of them. Eddie Guerrero is one of them. We could name those two right off rip. Rhodes is one of them, definitely. Goldberg. There's stories of when Goldberg had the title. He was hot as shit, but Kevin Nash and them, if we're to believe, some people in WCW, they say that people were starting to chant Goldberg sucks or whatever the fuck at Goldberg once he was running with the title for a little bit. And who knows if that's true? Because, if you watch old videos on the Vault, I mean, he just sounds over like Rover. Goldberg was so over, dude. And I watch a lot of that shit. And he was super over, man. But, yeah, the Chase is... I think there's more instances of the Chase being better than actually... And here's the other thing. People are like, well, Hogan's title reign was better, but how many great Chases were that you could name, like Ultimate Warrior and shit? Right? Warrior's title reign. It wasn't fun seeing him win the title. It was fun, I don't know. It was a little bit before my time too, but just me looking back, it's like it was more fun seeing him blow through opponents. And then can Hogan beat this rabid wild warrior guy? I don't know. That was more fun, I think, than actually him having the title as well. That's me watching home videos and shit, rented tapes and shit when I was young. That's my memory of it. So maybe it was different for people watching, but I think we could go to more instances of the Chase being way more fun than the run.
You didn't like something in WWE, I'm shocked. So that guy's not a listener. I hate everything in WWE and love everything in AEW. Maybe listen to one show, brother.
Okay, then don't clip yourself. Then stop clipping yourself. This is cope of the highest order here. Oh my God.
Are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping and seething. The truth it is scalding, and now you are molding and coping so hard. Coping and seething.
He's coping so hard over these people giving him pushback. And here's the thing. You're not always right, Brian. You're not always fucking right. You don't need to... You can take the L on some of these takes. And I don't know. I just think that he's completely off base on this, and he doesn't actually have a rebuttal to anything.
As
And also, he's like, watch a show, then don't post clips, because you know what, people are going to just take clips and just saying, well, you need to watch my show or else you whatever. No, state the claim. Or not state the claim, rather, rebut the claim or refute it. Like, state how what they're claiming is false.
Javon was in AEW to already have a title. Well, he would by process of elimination. I mean, everyone.
No. Well, yeah, well, he would, because there's 400 belts, but no, not meaningful. See, this is it. You guys just want people to have, they're your action figures. Bryan just wants people to have belts on them because they're his little toys. These are just little toys in their brain. No, it's going to mean something. There's already too many titles in WWE as well. It's going to mean something. Okay? And if these fucking dirt sheet and the smarks on the forums didn't invent, like, oh, the boys don't want that junior heavyweight title. They don't want the cruiserweight title on them. People don't want to be called cruiserweights because it's like a death sentence. The boys don't want that bullshit. That's the fucking smarks online and people like Dave and Bryan who push that narrative. Like, when Ultimo, we were comparing Ultimo Monet. Well, he was the super junior heavyweight, had every light heavyweight title there was. Was that slouch shit, or was that peak when Rey Mysterio came in and him and Chavito and these guys were feuding for the cruiserweight title? Was that not like peak SmackDown? You know, was that not amazing? Was Rey not able to float through the tag division, the world title division, the cruiserweight division? Did we not accept that and embrace it? Was it not fucking awesome? Yeah, that shit was awesome. So I get that there's like these, I don't know. They just want to apply this shit that they make up in their head to shit and to diminish it or whatever the fuck. And I just don't, we need to bring well, the point I'm making is Javon could be like a prestigious cruiserweight champion right now, but you guys would shit on, oh, cruiserweight? Are you kidding me? And it's what you're doing right now. Oh, he doesn't have a belt just to have a belt. Are you kidding me? Yeah, because it should mean more than that. And it's going to when it happens. Fucking crybaby.
So I don't really take issue with how they're handling Javon, but the Tatum loss was just bad. Oh, well, see, there's another one. First says the show was good.
It wasn't, because when she won the belt, everyone's like, she shouldn't have the belt. This is JC Jane. And then JC wins it back, and they're just trying to tell a story. And they're trying to get to Paxley. And again, Paxley had the belt. The chase was so fun. And then she gets screwed over by her team, and then she's going to deal with that and then go get back at JC Jane, possibly win the title back from her or whatever, chase it again. That's the fun in Tatum Paxley story. You get another example.
It wasn't. Javon's moveset won't let him last 5 years. Oh, is that right? Yeah. Tell that to AJ Styles.
Again, just picking like the absolute anomaly. AJ Styles is the exception, right? Every other guy who wrestles like that, who weighs more than 200 pounds, which Javon might not even weigh more than 200 pounds, but he will eventually. And he's sizing up, and he still has like man size to put on. Once he gets into like his 30s, he'll have like his real build, you know, and he's already got size, but maybe he weighs around 200 pounds. I'm curious, how tall is he? Like probably above 6 feet, right? Or about 6 feet, maybe a little above that. And so just to say, oh, tell that to AJ Styles. Yes, he's an anomaly. Unless you're the size of like Amazing Red or Paul London or one of these guys, you know, an Orange Cassidy. Yeah, those guys weigh 20 pounds. They can land. They can fucking look at Rey Mysterio still going. And it's because the impact is way different and all that. Yes, Javon's a big guy. He's a bigger guy. Okay. And like compared to other guys who do the type of shit he does. And then look at the guys like that, Omega, Ospreay, even look at Marco Stunt, because he would let people just like viciously slam him around and shit. There wasn't anything really graceful about what he was doing. And it's not like he was built like a Rey Mysterio or a Psychosis or whatever the fuck. But to pick AJ Styles, like the exception, even Shawn Michaels like broke his back. You know, AJ's just an anomaly. So tell that to AJ. You mean the anomaly, like one of one, the phenomenal one, like the one dude who sort of had the perfect, he's like a Shawn Michaels build and can still bump and doesn't look like his hips or knees are fucked, and he's like 50. Isn't AJ Styles like 50 or whatever, dude? He's pushing 50. His hips he doesn't have like Matt Hardy legs going on or anything. He's like a freak of nature anomaly. The one guy, you know, it's just so dumb. The exception doesn't make the rule. Typically, in general, we can look at a lot of these dudes and they're fucked up. Okay. And they're banged up and getting serious surgeries. And when you wrestle like a Roman Reigns or a Bobby Lashley, you see, look at them, look at the way they're still moving and the ages they're at. And then look at the guys who are about their size and could, like Will Ospreay could wrestle a Roman Reigns pace and bulk up and not actually do all this crazy shit. But he's getting fusions in his neck and shit. He's 30. You know, so tip in general, when you wrestle that style, yeah, you don't last long. However, I do think Javon, we'll see. You never know, but I think he could be this generation's like AJ style type of guy who I could just see him flying around like that forever. And the way he does dangerous shit and takes these bumps, there's just something about it where, I mean, I hope nothing happens, but I could see Javon being that one of one, like in the next generation. You're like, oh, he's like an AJ Styles and HBK. But people say that about HBK, but even his back got fucked up. And you see his legs now. They're cooked. You see HBK hobbling around. He's kind of cooked, dude. His legs are kind of fried. And they're all bent up and shit, his knees. I mean, that's from moonsaulting onto announce tables and shit. That catches up with everybody. AJ Styles, luckily, it hasn't really caught up with him at all. And I think Javon could be in that AJ category, but maybe he has a freak accident, breaks his back or something like that, Brian. You can't just talk shit is the point I'm getting at. You're coping.
Talking crap for the sake of it. NXT was so awesome, and he puts fire next to it. He puts a fire emoji. Yeah.
Hey. It's subjective. People like different things.
Exactly. Lance is just level-headed.
He put a fire emoji. But that was kind of hot. All right. Well, anyway, I don't care.
Oh, really, bud? You don't care? Seems like you fucking care. You did a whole segment, unedited clip, 2 minutes straight. I'm fucking caring about it, bud. So Bryan Alvarez, he copes about a little bit more here. He copes about Tony Khan calling Dave Meltzer, and he stands up for his daddy Dave. And he sweeps for Dave Meltzer here. So we are going to listen to this, which I cannot wait for. He defends Dave getting calls from Tony Khan.
Now that I've seen the video where TK calls Dave during a show, I realize you were actually just defending Dave's booking, which is perfectly understandable.
In the long run, you end up back where you were, just with a lower price. So anyway.
You know what Tony Khan actually does is he actually does talk to reporters. I've talked to Tony Khan. Dave has talked to Tony Khan. Like, I've talked to other.
Yeah, this is the problem, though. You guys are accused of shilling. Okay. You guys are accused of not having correct information, running with fake fucking stories that get disproven and people call out as fake. You guys, when Tegan Knox walks out, you guys have a bunch of people who run to you and text you and call you guys while the show's happening, Brian. We just talked about this the other day on PWT Live Show every Wednesday and Saturday. Bryan Alvarez talked about how he's getting calls during Full Gear from people who are on Full Gear explaining to them shit that's going on. Bros, the people don't want this. Do you want to know why? They don't want your input. They don't want Tony Khan calling you. Do you know how I know? Because less people are watching AEW and less people are reading The Observer and consuming your content. I mean, we're A-logging it. We're fucking hating on you guys because you're clowns. But otherwise, you have less people doing that and partaking in your shit. And that's why you have 50% off for 6 months straight now. You guys have been doing 50% off sales. for newcomers. Fuck everyone else who's been paying the full price this whole time, right? Just a fire sale, 50% off for 5 months. This is why people think you guys have less readers and you guys post these fucking clips and they get less interactions than if I just put an emote, if I just put felt it, or if I just put it's a bot, or if I just put he's coping with a laughing emoji. You get more likes than some of the shit than your cope posts and shit, right? So that's the problem. It just looks bad. The optics look, I don't give a fuck. Tony talks to us. Oh, and you guys sweep for him all the time. So you guys just take him at face value. So he can just tell you anything and you guys will just report it and say whatever he tells you. And Tony Khan, or when Tony Khan's calling Dave and Dave goes on a show and literally says, well, I mean, I pushed for them to do this one idea and they didn't do it. When did you push for it? You didn't push for it publicly. You didn't push for it in the newsletter. You didn't push for it on the show. You're talking about the decision of them to have the pre-show run over into the pay-per-view, and Dave's talking about he pushed for things? Don't you get it, Bri? You're fucking coping. Someone tell Brian the truth. Filthy Tom Lawler, Lance Storm, tell this man what I'm saying. Do you not see how that looks? How the optics on that are, and how when Dave goes, well, you know, I pushed for this, and when even you, Brian, have to call Dave out and go, well, dude, you guys are texting about things we don't know. You don't go, you know what, he actually talks to the media. Oh, so that's why you guys cover him favorably. That's why you guys fucking sweep for him. That's why you guys cope over every fucking thing when people criticize him. And it's only you are the only ones who are allowed to be critical of him. And it's always like half-assed, not really actually saying the thing that you want to say. Just like we covered a moment ago with Dave, he won't just say, I don't know. He just makes up shit, and that's what you guys do. It's constant excuses. Oh, he actually calls reporters. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. In wrestling, like the culture of it, what fans expect, they don't like people who do that shit, or they don't like that, and they don't like that Dave constantly condescends people, but then he's getting calls on the phone from Tony Khan and then saying he's pushing for things to happen that did, and they chose not to do that. What does that even mean? You're booking it? And we know Tony Khan is booking for Dave's 5 stars and shit. He was a Wrestling Observer correspondent when he was 13, which is creepy as fuck. And he fucking is down with Dave, dude. He's down with the sickness. We know that for sure. Dave rates this shit super high. He has some input, and we know Tony Khan's calling you straight up, and that you have wrestlers running to you guys telling you shit, and then you report this shit, and then it makes people look bad. It affects people's jobs. It affects people's pay, whether favorably or unfavorably. It affects people in different ways in the business, okay? Because you guys are claiming to be credible journalists, not fucking clowns making shit up and talking shit and making jokes. And you're always right. Dave's always right, can never be wrong. He's infallible. And Bry's always right, responds to these haters, and no one can be critical of what the fuck they have to say, or else you don't watch the show and you don't read their holy Bible of fucking 8 million words. And even when we do read it, it's full of typos. It's full of bad writing and sentence structure and punctuation. And it doesn't make sense. And then lies get exposed from that too, or you lie by omission, different versions of lying as well, lying by omission, things of this nature, as we chronicle and point out on this show. And people point it out, even if they do watch your show or they do read the excerpts from the Observer, read whole articles, people can point out the horse shit. But that's still never wrong, according to you guys. That's why it's bad that Tony Khan calls you up. That's why it's fucking bad. WWE and TNA, apparently, they have people talking to everyone too. Okay? According to all these sheets, they're all talking to people. But it's just bad optics when Tony Khan's calling Dave on the fucking air, like an emergency fucking call. And to do what? Well, yeah, he's just telling us an injury report. What is he doing? He's clearly like, how was your day? Hey, so I was thinking about doing this on the show. What do you think? I'm not sure if this, how would you handle that? I guarantee fucking that's the type of conversations they have. Tony looks up to Dave. He's been reading The Observer forever, and he looks forward to reading every Observer and seeing the nice shit Dave writes about him. I promise that shit. And it's not a flex to say, oh, he reaches out to reporters and shit. He actually reaches out and is transparent with everything. Nope. Because he went to Ariel Helwani and he fucking lied a bunch. So no, that's not what's going on. He's talking to you guys. He has you in your pockets. We have example as well of, I have examples of, I think I might have put it in the Sicko segment. We'll talk about it on PWT Live Sicko Saturday Survivor Series Time Cup. And, you know, these Fightful guys were all posting, ask Tony Khan to get on our show. And then the Fightful guy quote tweets it and tags another guy from Fightful quote tweeted it and tagged Tony Khan and was like, hey, Tone, will you come on our show or whatever? Then Tony Khan responded, I would love to, but it's Thanksgiving. I have family stuff. And like, yes, they're going to start kissing your balls. They think they have access to Tone and they're going to try and get jobs. So they're going to be more inclined to write, and the people you hire, they're going to be more inclined to write fed bad. AEW's where it's at. People are tired of that bullshit. People are fucking tired of it. So the optics on that are terrible. The joke has been, I bet Tony's calling Dave. I bet they're texting every day. He calls him on the air. You think Tone doesn't know when Dave's on the fucking air? He's calling them, emergency, don't report this thing that I told you. I actually can't. And that's why Dave's been stooging all their shit. That's why they can never get ahead, because Dave's over-promising shit, and then it doesn't deliver on that shit. He stooged the Danielson stuff. He stooged the Edge coming into AEW stuff, so they can never get a fucking, oh my God, this is crazy. Maybe 1 million people start tuning in next week because they want to see Edge. People just already heard Edge was going to be there and started memeing it. And then he changed his name to Cope, which is like, you couldn't have made a funnier joke if you tried. And it's the optics aren't good. We don't want Tony Khan calling you mark-ass dirt sheet reporters and talking to podcasts that get no fucking views. Okay? And only sucking it up and going on Ariel because Ariel's saying nice shit about him. Now I'll go back on because you're blowing me again. People are tired of that. It's corny. Okay?
Promoters, I won't mention any names, but the point of this is, like, Tony Khan, you can call him and ask him a question, and sometimes he'll answer. Many times he won't, but sometimes he will. I don't know why this is a big story. Shouldn't your job as a wrestling reporter be to try to get news from the different people in the business of professional?
Yes, as a reporter, it should be your job to try and get the information. You're coping, because it's not, as the wrestling promoter, it should not be your job to run to Dave Meltzer, of all people, who has a 50-year legacy, a half a century legacy, 5 decades of fucking bullshitting and making shit up, and people have exposed it time and time and again now that since the internet's come along and has been a prominent force in media, the most dominant force in media, the internet, Brian. As the promoter, well, as the journalist, shouldn't it be, yeah, Dave didn't call Tony in the middle of the show. Tony called Dave to do who knows what. And they're so comfortable with each other that Dave just hit Tone with the red button, dude. He red cup Tone.
Wrestling, isn't that like the thing? Now, let me tell you another thing about Tony Khan, because I've had long
Isn't that like
conversations
the
in the
thing?
past.
What thing? Isn't that like his job? Yeah, that's not what happened. So you just invented a scenario that didn't happen. Tony called him. He didn't call Tony.
Tony Khan, you are not going to book his show. Do you know how many times various brilliant wrestling minds have gone to Tony and said, no, what are we doing? We can't. And he'll listen, and they'll be in there for hours, and then they will leave, and he will do whatever it was he wanted to do.
Right. And what he wants to do is what Dave wants to do.
I have no idea why this is a story, but it is. I don't think people understand wrestling. And
Dude, you're the one talking about Lou Thez in 2025 and how he was 24 years old when he became a champ. What the fuck does this have to do with wrestling? I don't think people understand wrestling. What does this have to do with wrestling? The owner of a company running to a fucking journalist. And like, obviously this happens everywhere in any sport, in any industry, people running to control the narrative and shit. But that's just it. This is why it's a story. It's just proof that Dave is running whatever narrative Tone wants him to. You fucking moron.
Reporting.
But they're upset because Dave talked to Tony Khan. It's like he talked openly that he used to talk to Vince, and he talked to Eric, and he talks.
It's talked to everybody.
Job.
Right, and people clown that. Eric Bischoff famously tells the fucking story that he tried to even bring Dave in to what? Try and control the narrative. Thank you, EC3. No. But to try and control their narratives and have him like report the news in a way that doesn't blow up their spot, but they can still get valuable information to readers. Dave just couldn't help himself from bullshitting. And so it was like pie in Eric's face. And people even to this day criticize Eric. Like, why would you do that? Why would you think fucking teaming with Dave would be the answer? Oh, he talked to Vince. Yes, absolutely. Vince hated his guts. Ultimately ended up hating his guts and shit. And why? Some of it has to be because he wouldn't fucking sweep for Vince. But at the same time, like, when you're harping on how fucking Hogan didn't slam Andre in front of 93,000 people for like 4 decades, or, it's like 3 decades long. You're just talking shit about how, well, to this day, he's still talking about how that attendance record was fake. I'm sure shit like that added up over time, and Vince hated him for that too. Things like that, and other wrestlers like affecting people's jobs and stuff like that.
That's his job.
But it is his job to seek out information, absolutely. But the problem is that he's just lolcowed himself, and it's not the promoters' jobs to be calling Dave Meltzer. I think that fans see that and they're like, oh, what the fuck? It would happen anywhere. If you had, let's just say, like Grace Randolph reviews movies and shit, right? Let's say like she gave these, what's a bad movie? I don't know. I'm just going to say Wicked because that's all everybody's cringing out over Ariana Grande or whatever. Let's say Ariana Grande like called her on the phone during a live thing and she was putting over Wicked 2 and everybody's like, Wicked 2's ass. Why are you coping? Well, it's, or whatever the fuck. Something like people would be like, well, that's why they're friends. It's just the optics on that. And then to make it about like, I just don't think people understand wrestling. No, I think you mean journalism. Because you're defending his journalism, Brian.
Now that I've seen the video.
Trying fucking crying lion Brian over here. There might be one more Brian Cope. Yes. So here's Bryan Alvarez coping over the WWE and AEW champions, and basically how both companies don't want to put titles on younger talent. And he may be right about that, but we're in a time where all the guys who are peak right now are all older, as far as late 30s to like 50 years old. Everyone who's peak. And wrestling it's as much about the psychology as it is the physicality. And if you could take the mind, when a wrestler like CM Punk, let's say when he's 40 years old or he hit 40 or whatever the fuck, if you could take that mind and put it in the brain of him at like 25, he'd be unstoppable. And that's what everybody wishes in life, is like, if I knew then what I know now type of thing. And pro wrestling, nothing in this world. I mean, martial arts is very much that way as well, because you get better with the amount of times you do it. You get better with the reps you put in. And so with pro wrestling, I think almost unlike anything else, it's like, and sports in general, but especially pro wrestling, because there's an entertainment aspect where you're trying to, psychology and telling a story is part of it, but you need to use your body to do that, to convey it at times. Whereas like, a fucking The Sopranos, you can just write a good show and the character, it's not so you can get stunt doubles and shit, right? So in pro wrestling, man, if you took like Bobby Lashley's brain, or like let's think of someone, Hulk Hogan's brain when he was like 50 or 60 and put it into his prime body, he could have been even bigger than he was, Everyone understands that concept. And so that's why you're starting to see guys like a Cody Rhodes or a Lashley, even a Punk. You look at LA Knight. They're fucking peaking now. They've taken, and even like Punk is banged up. I mean, and you see guys like Orton and Cena, they're banged up. Like their backs, their bodies are banged up for sure. But now it's like LA Knight, Rhodes, Roman Reigns. You see these guys who are older now, and that's kind of where you peak in pro wrestling. JJ said the funniest thing. He's like, dude, when Lou Thez was around, the life expectancy was like 45 years old, dude. So yeah, it's like he's gonna be champ when he's 23. That was the fucking mic drop moment of PWT Live Saturday there this last week. But this is Brian's take, because this is the thing. Now I'm not wrong about my shitty take about developing talent, like having it be a longer process and sort of milking it and making sure that they really get their reps in before you trust them to go out there and have a wild run with the title or whatever. And also, I will be critical of WWE, though. Like, there's not many people just blowing up into these stars, but you do have like Dom and shit like that, and he's titled up. He was just walking around with 2 belts. He's going to be world champ one day. You have Logan Paul. He's not too old. He's like in his 30s, so you do have these young guys popping up. Braun Breaker's got lots of years on him. And I mean, he's a star. He's in the mix with everyone. Jacob Fatu, I think he's got some age on him, and he's definitely got some mileage, but you don't see it. And he's been doing the damn thing. We're going to get a handful of years. So it's not like they're not pulling the trigger on younger talent either. So I don't know why Brian's like just pretending that they're not. And in AEW as well, like we've seen young guys get strapped up, but he's talking about the world championship. Okay. Again, not everybody can just be world champion. Like not everybody just deserves to be world champion. Fletcher shouldn't be AEW's world champion right now. He just had a long title reign. I think he was the longest reigning TNT champ. So Brian, now he's making it like even an AEW criticism. Nobody's putting titles on the young guys. You got to do it. It'll work. I don't know, man. Not necessarily. And he was just in another instance saying, oh, yeah, Cody Rhodes' title reign better than the Chase or whatever. He used that as an example of like, well, the title reign's better than the Chase. Okay, well, then it's like, well, he's an older guy. So where's Javon supposed to fit into that? We'll give him the world heavyweight title. Okay, so but then what about like Gunther and shit? Jey Uso selling merch like crazy. There's an aspect to that too, Bri. Like it's a whole different game. This isn't Lou Thez time. But he does criticize AEW a little bit. But this is just him squirming and going, look, I'm even criticizing AEW to get this criticism of wrestling in general across. He's realizing this criticism he's been faux outraged about is bullshit. And I've been dissecting why on this show. And so now he's kind of just backpedaling. Well, no, it's like across the board. Everybody needs to. It's like, man, no young guys in AEW can draw. Joe's their only draw. He's in a huge successful TV show right now as well. Like you just got to stop coping over this shit. You got to accept it. Wrestling, you peak at like 35 to 40 is like the peak now, psychology and physically.
Somebody
and in MMA for a long time, the peak was like 32 to 37. Someone did like analytics on MMA as well, because 32 to about 35 is like, you don't have like your peak body, but you're in good enough shape. Like it's before the decline and your knowledge is at its peak. Someone broke that down as well, where in MMA for a period there, I'm not sure if it's gotten younger since, I'm sure it has, but but as the sports become more popular, but for a while there, it was like ages 32 to 37 was when most people like captured gold and went on their longest win streaks and shit like that. So
The age of 25 needs to be the champion right now. You guys realize MJF's almost 30 already? MJF. So like somebody
MJF, he's been like a multiple time world champion, stupid. So what are you talking about?
do something with somebody young. I'm astounded that it's not a race between AEW and WWE to be the first to do this. It's like they're both in a race to have older guys as champions. It should be a race to make the new young hot star.
So like Dom Mysterio. So like what they're doing with Javon, but you're just impatient as fuck, and you want Javon to skip past all these other people. But then you'll sit here and cope and cry about Carmelo Hayes. Where's these young fucking champions and shit? So you want like all this whole, what about Braun Breaker? You just want him to get skipped or what, dude? Holy fuck, man. They're trying to get like decade-long. They're trying to get 10 to 20-year careers out of stars who can be on their Laker team for 10 years. Just putting up fucking numbers. I don't know what he doesn't understand about that.
It's like a recent thing where you have to be old to become the world champion. That's like a recent thing. You guys have been brainwashed into thinking that you can't be pushed in your
And
early.
it's always like you're brainwashed. How dismissive is that? How fucking goofballish is that to just be like, it's brainwashed. You're just brainwashed. They always cop out and go, oh, it's just WWE brain rot, brainwashed. You guys are brainwashed into thinking people in their 20s. No one's blowing up in their 20s. How old's Dom right now? Dominic Mysterio age. He's 28, okay? He'll grab a world title in his 30s, bro. 30's the new 20, Bri. Should tell that to Dave. You have Bryan over here crying about wrestlers in their 20s, and then you have Dave crying about old podcast grifters. And you're two just out of touch fucking boomers who both look like they need more sleep than they get.
20s. And it's usually like old guys who maybe are bitter because they didn't get a shot earlier in their career. But like, you can win the world title at, like, Randy Orton won the world title at 24.
And how did that work out? We were just talking about the chase being more memorable than the capture and the run. How did Orton's title run work out? His chase was way better. Him turning on the evolution was way better and all that shit. They turned on him. That was way better, but his first world title run, remembered as ass and short. That's why it was cut short, because it wasn't that good.
I recall. I mean, he's had a long, great career.
He turned out okay.
Yeah, he turned out fine. The company turned out fine. It's okay to make.
He had a long, great career. The company turned out fine. He turned out fine. Yep. But you're talking about his first title run. Why does it need to be that? Why can't the first title run? And here's the other thing people need to realize. Gone are the days of you're the 15-time champion. You're the 12-time champion. That's what these guys want. They want to go back to the days of when the titles just get hot potatoed. Gone are the days of like, you're a 10-time champion. At least for now. It's more like you'll get that thing 3 times in your career if you're lucky. Rhodes will be a 3-time world champion by the time he retires, if he's lucky. You know what I'm saying? He's won it twice already. So, again, man, it's just the landscape changed, and Bryan wants to talk about people don't understand pro wrestling, or is that you?
A 21-year-old world. I'm not even saying that Javon should be the world champion.
That sounds like
but for
what
the
you're
love of
saying.
God, he should at least have been something in NXT by now.
That's what he is. He's one of the main faces of it, and they're slowly integrating him to the main roster.
They look incompetent, having done nothing with the guy.
He should be something. No, they don't look incompetent. You look incompetent. He should be something in NXT. He is. He's a guy who doesn't even need a title in NXT. They go, he's taken on Leon Slater from TNA, and people go, oh, fuck. Javon's a guy who doesn't even need a belt in NXT, and you put him in there with a good opponent, and everyone goes, oh, shit. They're going to cook. Javon's going to cook. It's going to go crazy. Bryan and Meltzer would be glazing his nuts and taint if he was in AEW doing the exact same thing, no title. And they'd be saying what I'm saying right now. That he doesn't need a title. He just puts on awesome fucking matches. And it's like, oh, you can't wait to see what he does with whoever he wrestles. And they throw him in there with legends and shit to help get him over. It's that he doesn't even need the title realistically. And they can still put him on PLEs. And the title helps get other guys over. While Javon just gets thrown on like every PLE because he's interesting. And they can always find a story for him. And people get behind him. Sounds like you don't understand wrestling, Bri.
Push someone under 25 to the world title. Like, the fans will accept
I'm
it.
not saying that they need to be even world champion, but I'm saying push someone to the world title. The fuck are you saying, Brian? You just sound like an
They're
idiot.
waiting for it.
No, you're just waiting for it because you're tired of being fucking told that you're wrong about this dumb shit that you're coping over, Bri. And yeah, that was trying Brian clip right there. I went off on Bri. Chris Walski for 2 says, I kid you not, I got 50% off HBO Max ad on PWT, LOL. Good. Yeah, sponsor me. Prince Nana, start selling your fucking coffee on my show. I'll sell more than Took Timbo and those guys. What the fuck are we doing here, man? Sponsor me. Good. HBO Max, hit me up. We'll run ads. Fucking Turkey Al Sheik, dude. Let's do it. So, yeah, that's coping, Brian. That's trying, Brian. So as we move along here, you know, Dave Meltzer had a couple things to say about WWE, so we'll quickly go over those. And he also has some comments. He sweeps for AEW. We're going to get into that. He goes to war with some old podcast grifters, quote unquote. But Dave Meltzer had this to say about the mini Cena and mini Stu on Raw.
They had Cena's music and everybody goes wild. And here in 2025, we get a mini John Cena.
Yeah, I was not a fan of this segment at all. It felt 20 years, actually almost 30
longer
years.
than that. 30.
Yeah, it felt
25 years.
It felt completely outdated.
The two most outdated motherfuckers ever in the IWC, in pro wrestling journalism, Brian and Dave, talking about this is outdated. The fuck you talking about, man?
In so many ways.
Are there minis in CMLL? I bet he fucking glazes them. Weren't people popping so hard for the minis at the AAA show? They had a mixed tag with minis in it. People were going nuts for it. What's wrong, dude? What's wrong with minis getting some shine? Oh, but like the regular size guy beat him up. Well, that's what would happen. That's why you don't have fucking that's why John Cena isn't fighting Rhea Ripley in his retirement match. That's some 2K shit. So, yeah. Well, what? You're against mini wrestlers getting fucking gigs? And the guy, his name's Psycho, which is an awesome fucking mini name for sure, dude. And then Mini Stu here, this Psycho guy did an interview, and he said he was so grateful for the opportunity. And he said that he was so happy that he was able to get to be in this segment and come out with the Cena music and all that. And then Dave goes, it's just so outdated. Lock these midgets away, Brian. They disgust me. They shouldn't even be on my television. I thought we got rid of them ages ago. Like, what are you saying, Dave?
It felt
Minis
like something
rule,
Vince
dude. Fuck
McMahon
you.
would do that they've gotten away with from. Somebody obviously thought it was funny.
It's just like old shitty heel. It's just like low brow, sleazy heel shit for Dom to do, and he did it. And it just gets heat on him. And it is kind of funny.
And then, like,
that's why, hey, you know it's funny? Wee Man. When he gets punched by the fake boxing glove and goes flying across the hallway because he's not a regular sized dude. It's funny. Yes. Dave, you are stop virtue signaling shit. Everybody's like fine with. This is what happened to Snow White. They're like, we can't use midgets in this movie or miniatures. Or I don't know, small people in this movie. let's CGI dwarfs. And then everyone's like, fuck you. No, just what's wrong with minis, dude? Fuck are you talking about?
The silliness is that, it's like, obviously Dom sets the whole thing up as the ruse to laugh at how stupid the fans are for buying it. And he didn't do that. And in fact, the guy who he set up, in fact, turned on him and didn't go with the script, which made it just even sillier.
Yeah, this mini John Cena is supposed to, be
He's supposed to make fun of being John Cena.
Yeah, but then he cuts a promo and Dom's telling us.
So what's wrong with? So exactly, they're not making fun of minis. They're making fun of John Cena. What, like, you just said it. Ding, 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 ding. You just you understood it, bud. Congratulations for figuring that one out. Congratulations, Dave. It's crazy.
Stay on the script. And Dom couldn't keep a straight face in this promo. And so finally, Dom boots this dude, hits a 5-knuckle shuffle, hammer fist right to the eyeball, this poor mini. Then he hits the 619 frog splash. Joe Tess is losing his mind.
He's a poor mini, and he feels bad for him. And let me talk about it like it's a funeral. And then Psycho gets online and goes, dude, I'm so happy for this opportunity. This is amazing.
Ray's music hits. He comes out. Great timing there, Ray.
Little late on that save, huh?
Yeah, a little late.
A little late. Oh, it was so distasteful that they brought a mini out there. Here, I'm going to make a little person joke, though. Oh, it's so outdated. It's so outdated to bring out and laugh at a mini. Here's a little guy joke. Like, you guys are fucking clowns. This is why no one takes you seriously.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
It's fucking bananas. This is why I don't take anyone seriously who sweeps for Bryan or Dave. They don't believe anything they say. And this is why we roast it all. They're just blanket wrong, period. They're clowns. Here, I'm going to make a little joke, but it's so outdated. Can you believe that someone thought this was funny? Then he makes a little joke. And with a bad criticism, too. Like, yes, in wrestling, it's always late saves. It's always that. That's like the thing you have to put out of your mind, or else none of this shit works. You know what I mean? Like, you have to... there has to be some suspension of disbelief.
His mind. Ray's music hits. He comes out. Great timing there, Ray.
Oh, he should have been earlier. Well, then what's the point of the segment? Then what's the point of any of this if everything should have just happened the way it's like a movie? That's like a Sheldon Cooper joke on Big Bang Theory. Like, this movie angers me. Why? Well, it says clearly not to give the gremlins water. You guys know that joke from Big Bang Theory? Every time we watch this movie, they shouldn't give the gremlins water. Well, if they don't, then there's no movie called Gremlins. You know what I mean?
A little late on that save, huh?
Yeah, a little late.
Oh, and then Dave laughs about it. A little late. But I thought it's dated and passé and wrong and gross. And someone thought it was funny, Brian. Someone thought the mini was funny. I mean, someone back there thought it was funny. Brian makes a little guy joke. Whoa, we got to hear that one more time.
Great timing there, Ray.
Little late on that save, huh?
Yeah, a little late.
Yeah.
And then Dom bails. Yeah, this was, of all the go-home segments for one of John Cena's final matches, this was a low point on the program.
Holy buddy. He's talking about his own show. This is a low point on,
his music.
on our program. You know what I'm saying? So let's see here. There is Dave Meltzer talking about Penta's injury again in the match with Solo Sikoa. And Meltzer says that he did find out that Solo was in fact scheduled to win the match. So the finish didn't change, which is good. I see Solo going far in this thing, and he has, I guess, just simply based off the fact that he already destroyed Cena. So there's like a bit of a story there. You could tease it in a semifinal or whatever. But yeah, this injury, if you're watching on the international feed, they handled it the same way the Liv Morgan injury was handled. Like to a T. It's the same thing. So basically they just show the guy in the ring, and then they will show you that the injury is going on, but not for very long. And just the way the refs and everybody reacts to it is just much different than when like Seth got injured and they just showed you the whole thing. You know, it just made it too obvious. They definitely just cut to commercial right away if it's an unplanned injury spot.
Pentagon was wrestling a tournament match against Solo Sikoa, tried a diving Frankensteiner off the barricade, and he landed on his shoulder and dislocated his shoulder. And they went to break, and he tried to pop his shoulder back in. He wanted to keep going. They told him no. And so they came back commercial and announced he could not continue. The winner of the match is Solo Sikoa. And so now I presume that Pentagon was going to win. I don't know that.
I actually found out that he was not going to win.
Really?
Solo was going to win, and they were going to do Gunther and Solo.
Gunther and Solo.
Yeah, I thought when that happened, I go, oh my God, because I was sure Pentagon was going to win the match just because of the two, right? You know, you would think that, are they going to do Gunther and Solo, or are they going to do Gunther and Pentagon? And it's like, Gunther and Pentagon makes so much more sense.
Why? Why does it make so much more sense? They're turning Gunther babyface. He's slowly becoming and this is how you change a guy like Gunther. It's like with Roman. Some of his actions, sure, but it's not about him like kissing babies and shaking hands. It's about him going to war with guys and kind of having respect for them and not doing dirty shit by attacking them after the match is over, and bringing his old music back and having him be far away from Ludwig, and just you reinvent him by him not like cheating to win, but just let the crowd embrace him. Right. So he gets a win over Solo. Maybe the MFTs run out and get involved because Gunther's so beastly. And then he starts mixing it up with some of them, or who knows? But yeah, Gunther's on like a slow baby face turn, clearly. And it's just a one that has to happen naturally, because people even when he's a heel, people naturally love Gunther. And so that's what they're doing. And his matches and sort of nods of approval towards his last couple of opponents, I think, show that. But yeah, at the same time, either of these guys could have won, and they're going to have a banger with Gunther. But Solo winning makes sense to me, just because he cleaned John Cena up in Saudi.
But I did find out that Solo was in fact scheduled to win that match.
How about that?
Yeah. So the finish didn't change, but you know, it ended probably 6 minutes early, something like that, maybe more.
Yeah, and so Bryan just burying it before it fucking, and then Dave's like, actually, I found out it was in fact supposed to be Solo. And he's like, oh, okay. So, any other WWE stuff? Let me see. We have tons of fucking... We have so much bickering and sweeping. It's so amazing. I can't wait. Yeah, so that was WWE stuff. Now, Dave Meltzer, he got really mad about... Well, no, this is a good transition here. Here's Bryan and Dave discussing, you know, kind of how shitty AEW is, or at least how long these shows have been going. And again, they don't know where to put Collision. It's either going to be 3 hours of Dynamite, or... I've gone over this so many times. It's on Thursday. It's tonight. Like, I think it's on right now or some shit, or in like an hour. It's on Thursday this week. Saturday, I don't even think it's on. And then they just move it around wherever they need it to go. And so Bryan Alvarez is like, we don't need 3 hours of SmackDown. We don't need 3 hours of Dynamite. Which, speak for yourself. But even they're talking about 3 hours of Dynamite more, because that's ultimately what's going to happen. I think Collision goes bye-bye soon. And even Dave admits that it's a chore watching this show, but it sort of relates to WWE. And then and that's, I guess, the last like WWE topic, other than Dave bringing it up when it fits him for his protection of Tony Khan and AEW, that we're going to go over, which is chef's kiss.
This show, to me, it was just, I think we've learned the 3 hours is too long for any television wrestling show. And we certainly don't
And we're
need
gonna get
3
it every
hours
Friday
in an
night. We're gonna get it
overrun.
every Friday night for the next forever. So yeah.
Yeah, and it sucked when it was 3 hours. So like we don't
I
need
agree.
3 hours of SmackDown. We don't need 3 hours of Dynamite. And it's not just me. Like you could see the crowd after about 1 hour and 50 minutes, the crowd was just like done, and they just watched the rest of the matches.
Yeah.
They were
Because
quiet.
they knew they had. You know what else? Also, last week's show.
That's every AEW show. So if the crowd is just done and Dave Meltzer gives stars based on the fucking it's how the crowds moved. And this even happens at the pay-per-views. How are any of these matches getting 4 and 5 stars? They should all be getting 2 stars because the crowd's not moved for any of this shit. They just pop for the little spots that are like, or I guess they're big spots in AEW, but they just pop for the little things like trained fucking seals.
It's so great. And so this show was pale compared to it. And I think
The pay-per-view was so great.
you know, when you look at it, it's like, you know, AEW, it's like you're gonna get like a lot of good wrestling. It's really good. And you know, for much of the show there was a lot of good wrestling, not all of it. But you know, it's just like, and this was the you know, pay-per-view go home show, but there were no, like, I don't think there were any outstanding angles. They were all basic angles, and they tried to do a lot of wrestling on the show because you had a lot of ideas. 3 hours is a long time.
No. A lot of ideas, Dave, would be storylines and angles.
They've done some 3 hours that have worked, and yeah,
a lot of ideas isn't just, oh, Tony has so many ideas, so he just threw a bunch of matches out there. Did he have ideas for finishes, or what are you talking about? If he had a lot of ideas, we'd see more storytelling and not just overstuffed wrestling, and then like the go home show before a pay-per-view of overstuffed wrestling.
In this show, it was kind of like, it was a chore. It wasn't, you know, I think if that show had been 2 hours, I would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah. So would everybody else. I think Collision should go to YouTube. So here's Dave Meltzer talking about Samoa Joe as world champion. I think we heard Brian's take on PWT Live show, but here's Dave's take on Samoa Joe winning the world title from Hangman.
I don't think Joe should have been the guy. I mean, Joe's been in that spot before, and he'll do well in the spot. It's just that I think that if you're gonna make your world title, you know, something to be used for your future, you know, put somebody in there for your future, whether it's Kyle Fletcher, you know, who's the
obvious guy, because I give him 5 stars every week. So that's obviously the guy, Kyle Fletcher. And do you see how Tony hears this and will listen to Dave? And I'm not saying Fletcher shouldn't get a world title eventually, but it's, why would Fletcher? So again, they're trying to switch Fletcher babyface if Dave's watching the show. So he's not even giving them a chance to tell fucking stories. He just wants to see the match and have Fletcher win the belt. And same with Bryan. Everyone should just have belts, because everyone should just have belts that we want to see have belts. Belt. This is Tony Khan's problem too. Joe's a draw. Fletcher beating Joe will mean more. Maybe the fans will get behind Fletcher if they do this babyface turn correctly. Maybe he can maintain the ratings if they do this right, because Hangman doesn't, and the fucking ratings plummet when he's champ. Okay, and Joe actually draws for them, and he's in a fucking big time TV show, and he's about to go do season 3 of this big time TV show, and he's the only guy that draws for them, and their houses are fucking terrible, and you're lying and saying they're closing the gap on SmackDown, and that's just not the case, and they're really trying to make something happen. They're like sweating about the Saudis buying HBO. They're praying that they see, oh, well, you know, this guy who's on this Twisted Metal show, you guys, what is that on Paramount? You guys work with CBS, right? Oh, well, you know, he's famous, so. Because Edge ain't going to fucking do it. Edge just ain't going to do it. And he's off filming his shit right now. So Tony's just booked himself into a fucking corner. That's the problem. And this is the only, if you studied the TV business, Dave, and if you listen to your own self, right? Instead of contradict and flip-flop on your own words, Dave, when you got mad at Bryan and you told him the only thing that matters is drawing at the end of the day. It's about making money. That's it. Joe makes the money, okay? He fucking maintains or elevates their ratings and their attendances. As you can see, if you look over the history of AEW, as we did on an old episode. I'm sure it'll happen again here. I don't know. What did Last Dynamite do? Probably a fucking ass rating. Swerve is back. Maybe that'll help them a bit. I think people like Swerve, right? AEW fans like Swerve. But yeah, he just wants Fletcher, his latest 5-star merchant, to obviously be the world champion. Fuck you, Dave.
His choice. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you know, like it's like, oh, well, he's young and he can wait. And it's like, I think I've been hearing that about so many people in wrestling right now that it's kind of like, just do it. You know what I mean? It's like, let's get some young guys. Make some young guys stars, like real stars, not giving them some wins. They're on the card. And I know they've done a really good job with Fletcher. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's really improved as a star, but you know, you make some superstars. You know, Joe was a big star. You know, I mean, he's a very reliable guy. You can put him in that spot. He'll do well. But I think that as a world champion, I think that they should be focusing on young guys now, especially when the company has to be in a rebuilding mode. Because
so why would it be in a rebuilding mode if they have the best booking, the best show, they have the absolute best matches, the pay-per-views are through the roof? Why are the ratings down? Why are the attendances down? And why would they be in a rebuilding phase? And why for the last 2 years have you been saying they're in a rebuilding phase? How long is the rebuild? And why, if people go, they've only been around 6 years, guys, they're playing catch up to WWE, then why are they already in 6 years have been going through 2 years of rebuilding phase? And why is it like the third time people have brought up rebuilding phases? Fuck, man.
So many of their top talent is old.
So many of their top talent, like Edge and Joe and MJF, they fucking go to work there, and then they take Tony's money, and then they just take off whenever they want and go do movies and a bunch of other shit. Then they just come back when they want, and then everyone changes course for them, and then they just take off again whenever they want and go do their... That's the fucking problem, dude.
Now. You know, I mean, MJF probably would have been my pick to go there, even though he's had it before, in the sense that at least he's young and all that, but I don't know what his schedule is. And
none of this shit has to do with like actually helping Tony Khan and helping make this the best show it could be. None of their suggestions are ever that. It's just, well, we think it should be young people, so it should be young people with the belt just because.
It's not him.
It's just not a good argument.
The youngest champion in AEW history.
And what does that matter? Or is that going to draw 1 million viewers because Fletcher's the youngest champion in history? Or are you guys just like making these weird artificial sicko smart fucking stats to keep track of? Go play universe mode.
Stamp on the guy.
There's a great Kyle Fletcher community creations. I've fucking seen it. Okay. There's a bunch of good ones. You can get a Kenny Omega, dude. You can get all that shit.
You know, it's like we know he's going to be the top guy for a long, long time. You don't have to wait. But you know, it's like, well, he's young. You know, we don't have to rush it. It's like, it's not rushing it. It's making new stars.
No, it doesn't automatically make them a star to put a title on them.
I don't think Joe.
This is the problem. All these sicko and wacko wrestling fans need to understand. Not everybody can be fucking. Not everybody can be like Randy Orton and shit like that. You know, not everyone can get a world title. I get it. You guys all loved NXT and you want to see all these fucking uber wackos want to see Carmelo Hayes be world champ, bro. It's just not going to happen. You know, I'm sorry. It's just maybe in the future, but just not right now. Javon and shit takes time. But Dave, man, he does more sweeping for AEW. So he just absolutely glazes Mascara Dorada, even though he fucking botched this move, which is fine. Everyone botches, like everyone, you know? It's not even anything to really clown, but it's just funny to hear Dave be like, normally he's the master of the ropes, of the rope work, Bryan. It's so
you heard anything about Dorada from last night?
No. I mean, he did take that bad power
Yeah.
bomb, but I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, but I mean, he was way off. I mean, that was the worst I've ever seen. You know, they still had.
Well, I watched that match and I don't blame him. I think Okada is very rusty because, you know, Dorado was trying to do all of his spots and like even a spot where
every spot,
Dave,
every
listen.
spot on the
No, he just, Dave, listen to this guy. Brian's trying to make the point that, and I don't know if I agree with Rusty with Okada. It's just that, so I don't agree with Brian on that. It's that Okada isn't gonna do this shit. Like he just kind of phones it in on TV, then he gives you a good PLE match because he's just not trying to beat his body up and shit. He's just cooling it, lounging off the money that he made from Tony Khan and all that. You can tell. So yes, Dorada's trying to hit all this crazy shit, and Okada just ain't really with it. I don't know if he's rusty, if rusty's the word, but he was just not trying to have to like do all of this crazy shit, but he's also not gonna not try and have a good match, right? Like you can't, he's profesh, but he doesn't want to be up there taking this flip bump off the top rope and shit. You can tell, you know.
Okada didn't even have to be there.
No, Okada had to hold his hand for the
Okada
rope
had to
lock
hold on
spot.
the first one. On the first one, which Okada did hold him, he slipped on the ropes before the Okada. Then Okada held him so he could turn around and do the arm drag. But most of those spots, he was slipping. He was slipping on all the springboards, and Okada was just waiting for him to do the move. I thought Okada did a great job in covering for his slipping. He was slipping.
Yeah, bro, you're doing a good. You mean like what you're doing, bro? You're doing a pretty good job covering for the slipping of these Nuge guys.
On everything, and he never slips. He's like the master of the ropes.
He's the master of the. He like never slips, Brian. He's the master of the ropes. I love it. It's so cute.
And he never slips. He's like the master of the ropes. He was just having problems last night. He seemed shaken up at one point, which may have contributed to the later problems. And then he took the power bomb, which was really scary.
I would love to know what Dave rated the match as well. So did that affect Dave's rating of that match, I wonder? Because he's talking about he was just botchy and scared. It's like, well, why didn't they just go home and not risk? Why are they doing slipping power bomb spots? Like, just fucking wrap it up, boys, you know? Oh, man. But again, it's like this. Dave wants to go pre-programmed in WWE. Okay, well, it's pre-programmed. You got to get all your shit in AEW. We saw that with Julia Hart, too. She fucking does a moonsault, and not to shit on Julia, but she botches the moonsault all the time. It's stiffer than fucking Vader's. And she goes for this moonsault, lands on her feet, and then lays down, goes for the pin, and then they do the pin breakup spot, the other two girls. And it's like, holy, talk about pre-programmed. Like you just planned every fucking spot. And even I won't call them pre-programmed. You know what I mean? Like it's a performance. There's an element to that, obviously, but you know, Dave, man, he's just sweeping for fucking AEW. And this good old Canadian boy here says, so on SmackDown last week there, bud, there were 0 women matches. On Raw last night, there were 0 women matches. Where's the outrage? If this were AEW, blah, blah, blah. And then Dave goes, it's only, one group who would have it complained about if AEW did it. And this would show you they would have an agenda, or else, yes, they'd complain about this as well. The whole women's wrestling thing is fucking stupid. Everybody knows that women's wrestling is half redacted in AEW, and Tony doesn't know how to book women properly. And everybody knows that it's half cooked. And on all of Tony's pay-per-views, they get 1 or 2 matches and shit. So no one really even talks about that anymore, Dave. And you guys are only bringing up the WWE outrage because only WWE gets flack. But Dave exists in a bubble where it's like we're all over it. You know, they talk about tits and they slap each other in the face with mashed potatoes and shit. And they staple vaginas and have death matches. That's what the women do. Tony Storm just announced there's going to be a holiday death match or whatever the fuck. Like the women just do hardcore shit for shocks and awes, and then they bleed, then they make a t-shirt about it, and they just like talk about their tits and throw mashed potatoes and cakes at each other and stuff. That's all they've really done. And then they just have a bunch of belts. That's all the women have done in AEW. Let's be honest. let's be honest here about what the most interesting stuff has been in AEW's women division. So this is like just, again, an old, like, I don't think anybody even really criticizes AEW for the women's wrestling shit. I'm sure it's out there, but it's not as prevalent as it was online because everyone just kind of accepts, like, yeah, they, like, I don't think they really know what they're doing. And maybe there's like a couple matches a show with women now. Awesome, whatever. But WWE, I mean, they do shows that are like 60% women. There's shows where they might not have a women's match, but the women are in the segments throughout the whole thing. And then they have a closeout brawl or whatever, and the women end the show. So I think this whole women in wrestling thing, everyone just needs to shut the fuck up. There's a bunch of women that are more popular than a bunch of the dudes in wrestling. All these women in NXT are looking better than the majority of the men in NXT. I don't know. Maybe we'd have to count them out one by, because there's a lot of good guys in NXT right now, but I would say the majority of the women, like the future of wrestling is women, at least in WWE. And I just think it's such a fucking dated thing to even complain or virtue signal over, but he just has to be like, but if AEW though. So here is Dave talking about how there was so much build to Paige winning the title, which there was, but nothing matters in AEW. And the whole Moxley thing, the Death Riders thing just didn't matter whatsoever. It was just a nothing. It was just so Mox could have the title and play out this cool, tough guy death match idea, and then nothing changed. The build-up wasn't even for Hangman to win the title, guys. The build-up was for Mox to just drop it to somebody finally and then get the title out of the briefcase. It could have been almost anyone. It was just the relief of like, finally Moxley's not holding up this company. Even the AEW fans hate it, and not in the way where it's like good heat for the TV show. They hated it in the way where they were turning the fucking TV show off. Okay. So Dave has this twisted. Him and Bryan are both wrong about what the anticipation was for. It wasn't for Hangman to get the title from Mox. It was just for Mox to finally lose that shit and the Death Riders to go away, maybe break up. Instead, they just added members and they're still doing all the same shit they were doing before. It's a fucking clown show. So here's Dave's interpretation. He just loves Hangman, though. He loves the Elite. He probably views Joe as like he's an old ex-WWE guy, Bryan. It's, you know, it's not that he ever hates on Joe, but he's just talking about Joe like he'll do a good job. I mean, he's okay, I guess. Like, he's not like one of the fucking, he's one of the dudes that is a proven commodity. He's one of the dudes that can go to Ohio and do a cage match with Mox and draw 4,000 people, when the last time they were in Ohio, like before that match, Mox went there as world champion and he drew like 1,200 tickets or whatever. So sold like 1,200 tickets. He's that guy. So anyways, let's just listen to his take.
So if there's like an injury situation and Paige just had to go through, you know, then it's like, it's kind of like, okay, you know, it makes sense. Otherwise, it felt to me like, you know, there was so much build to Paige winning. And it's like, there was a point where I think, you know, of course he could lose it, but I didn't think it would be to Joe. And I didn't think it'd be in November. I thought it'd be like early next year at the earliest, and maybe even longer than that, you know, maybe even go until, you know, Wembley or something. So I was surprised. I didn't really see Joe as being a world champion. And a lot of people right now think, well, it's a transition to Swerve, but that's kind of like what they did, you know, last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a transition to Fletcher, bro.
You know,
that's exactly what you wanted, Dave. It's exactly what you wanted. You're just being a little bitch and you want it now. I want food now.
But maybe it ends up a three-way. Maybe, you know, so, and that would be, that's an interesting match.
I think going back to the Swerve Hangman, like all AEW's doing is Swerve's back, and then he's kind of looming around that picture, and I just think they're going back to like the C2's going on, and no one could care, like people could care less, or couldn't care less, or whatever. Like everything's just starting to feel stale, repetitive. The Elite get back together again. And it's just, I don't know, man. We need something fresh badly in AEW. Now, does that mean slapping the title on Fletcher? I don't know. I just don't think he's proven yet. I don't think Dave has done him any favors. But I think Fletcher in his personal interviews has done himself favors, but people aren't watching them unless he's talking about WWE. That's the problem. So we'll see, man. But I think Joe dropping it to Fletcher will do way more for Fletcher than Hangman dropping it to Fletcher.
So if there's like an
Hangman can rematch Fletcher on short notice or whatever, roles are reversed, and then Fletcher can beat him again or beat him and get his win back. But the roles are reversed. Like this time Fletcher's champ and whatever. But I don't know, man. Hangman's probably going to go take off for a while like he does too. That's the problem in AEW too. Everybody just fucking takes off. Everybody just dips out and then comes back when they want. So you can't really get anything going. So Tony Khan was asked about burnout. And here's fucking Dave just sucking nuts. He doesn't get
Best
burnt
guys,
out.
Tony
I
Khan.
mean, bro, it seems like he's getting burnt out.
Somebody asked Tony about burnout. What did you think
Yeah.
about that question? That was pretty interesting.
he doesn't burn out, but
He doesn't burn out. Like what? You couldn't be more of a cuck saying something like that. He doesn't burn out. What does that even mean? Yeah, he's clearly burning out. So those videos in his hotel when he's on the super yacht Kismet and has zero energy and he just looks lifeless and he's just rattling shit off a paper that he quickly wrote down. He doesn't burn out. No, dude, he's burnt out. He's spread way too thin. But instead of like the same criticism you'd give to Vince McMahon, yeah, dude. And I get it. Vince McMahon was way older. Doesn't matter. How many people in chat or in the comments below fucking work 40 plus hours a week, 40 to 80 hours a week? Come on, man. It doesn't matter how old you are. You fucking burn out, bud. He's burning out and he's burning out of ideas fast.
That's it's kind of inhuman to do as much as he does. I mean, he is devoting most of his.
They're trying to paint him up to be like this Vince McMahon thing. Look how Vince turned out. That wasn't ultimately good for the business where it is now. And it's not good for the long term. Vince going hard to build his company. Yes. The problem is that Tony Khan's working this hard to destroy his company. Him working as much as he does, he's not this prolific visionary. It's not helping AEW. Why? Because he had billions just to start with. He had hundreds of millions of dollars to billions of dollars just to start with. Vince didn't have that. He bought the company off his dad, and then he made a deal where if he didn't pay X amount every month, the company would revert back to his dad. Like, that was a huge gamble that could have blown up in his face, and history would have been way different. Okay? And I'm not, again, trying to fucking, no one makes fun of Vince more than me. But Vince had to grind to get this thing to be $1 billion thing. Tony Khan it's $1 billion thing. So that's where it's different. Vince McMahon spending every waking hour, sleeping 3 hours a night, going just absolutely hard until look what happened. He lost his mind. He got all googly eyed. He lives in this fake fucking world where the history around him is controlled. And look at all the sicko shit he's into, you know what I mean, or whatever the fuck. Like, look at what happened to the legacy. That's from doing that to himself, but he had to do that to get WWE to what it is. Tony Khan just made AEW. It's got billions. It doesn't matter how much money he wastes. It doesn't matter. None of this shit matters. He can just spend the money. He's got the money. But now the crowds are the lowest they've ever been, and the show's the lowest it's been, and his creative's fucking terrible. Let's say he doesn't burn out because of all the current Adderall and things like that exist in the world, right? That can keep people's, attention going. There's people taking like meth. I saw these guys, these like looks maxing bros. I think it was like Too Lazy to Try made a video about like this look maxing guy. One of these channels did, right? I forget which one. And this guy was talking about like he would like snort meth and then go to the gym and shit. And he's not like a skeevy meth guy, but like he's like, well, Adderall has this type of methamphetamine in it, or I don't even know. I don't take any of that shit. All I'm saying, I'm not saying Tony Khan does either, right? I'm just saying that let's just assume he at least takes Adderall and drinks a lot of coffee. And then he doesn't burn out that way. Sure, but creatively and shit, he's bankrupt, bro.
Time to the wrestling, but it's not like he's not, devoting a lot of time to football and soccer. But yeah, I mean, look, I think it's pretty clear that Tony Khan's always going to be the booker of AEW, and whether that's good or bad. I mean, if you like the product the way he presents it, it's good,
right? Which is a minimal amount of people. Like he just won't say the thing that needs to be said. He can't. And why? Because Tony Khan calls him on the phone. And that's why Bryan's a dumbass for trying to fucking say, well, why wouldn't Tony Khan call him on the phone? Look at the optics on that, man. Be objective for a second.
If you want some other type of product, it's not going to be that product.
Yeah.
And
yeah, so the people said, boo. So then stop coping. Stop always inventing lies and saying that, making shit up about how it's so good and being like the pay-per-view has the most interest and the buys are the most since All In. You said that for the last 3 pay-per-views. The pay-per-view's not growing. We have the Google Trends. We're about to get into that. And I'm about to pwn Dave as well on the Google Trends shit.
That's how it is. There's a lot of different questions on that, but sometimes you don't know you're burning out, and a lot of times when it comes to booking, bookers burn out and they're the last to know it. And I'm not saying that Tony's burned out or anything like that.
Of course, why would you say that? And of course, I'm not saying that my son is burning out, Bryan, but Garrett. What's that guy's name? Garrett? I always forget it. Gareth? Gary? Oh, man. So, and then Dave, like he just doesn't know what he's talking. I'll circle back to that one, but here's what Dave had to say about them doing afternoon pay-per-views, because this narrative now is like, well, the afternoon pay-per-views have really helped them. Now that remains to be seen. Dave is the only source on the AEW pay-per-views, and he just claimed that Amazon increases the buys 30%, and he claims shit like all the pay-per-views were the most sales since whatever the fuck. We're going to go over all of that. Here's his take on them doing afternoon pay-per-views. I would say just make them shorter and make them more interesting. I think that should be what they do. Not moving the times around. I think it should be less matches and make it more interesting.
I mean, there's definitely newsworthy. I mean, Samoa Joe won the championship. Swerve Strickland was brought in. Like, he's probably going to be challenging Joe on the next pay-per-view. The Young Bucks got back together with Kenny Omega.
Who cares? They've done that 5 times, or they do that once a year.
His hand, and with Jack Perry and Luchasaurus, turning down the Don Callis family. Ricochet became the first national champion. FTR won the tag team titles. So it was certainly a lot of news coming out of the show.
No, technically, yes, there was news to report from the show. That's any show. Whether those same people defended the titles, you go, oh, well, they beat this guy, there'd be news. But look at Dave coping over why there's no hype and no one's going, oh my God, Hook, and oh my God, the first national champion, and oh my God, the fucking did they put the national title on Ricochet so he could argue with people bringing up the NWA shit? But there's no one talking about, oh, the fucking Elite got back together. No one cares. There's no hype surrounding it. None of it's trending after every WWE show, pretty much. If you want to compare it to WWE and even TNA. Well, let's compare it to TNA, because even recently, every TNA show, the last couple, not show rather, but pay-per-view, every TNA PLE pay-per-view, there's at least one thing where people are they're going nuts about it, whether it's or the live episode. I guess that wasn't even the pay-per-view, but then it got everyone talking about Turning Point, which was the next night. But on that live show, Santana losing the title, like even they're figuring out ways to get people, the whole timeline talking. The whole timeline didn't care who won the Casino Gauntlet. The whole timeline wasn't like, oh my God, the Elite are back together. It's just artificial, and it's just the dirt sheets that glaze AEW that Tony calls. And that's why he calls the reporters. It's not because he gives a fuck. It's just, okay, I'll be friendly to them, give them access, and then I can control the narrative they put out there. And we can dip, duck, dive, and dodge the fucking truth about shit. Even Joe winning the title. I think even Joe winning the title, that's nothing, like, just sickos melted down about it, but everyone's like, whatever. Okay, that's probably the smart move. The rest of the items, okay, we're done talking about it right when it happens. That could have happened on Dynamite. No one would give a shit. No one gives a fuck. Mark Briscoe winning the TNT title. Didn't blow up online. No one really cared. Nothing was like overly trending for more than a day. No one really gave a fuck. And why? Because the pool of AEW fans is smaller and smaller, and it's just nothing to really fucking care about. And even the way Dave's talking about it, there's tons of news, and this show sold better than any other show since All In. But I mean, it's just something. We're victims, Bryan. We're victims. This is why, like, they're just old podcast grifters are making up reasons to hate on us. Nope. Everyone's just tired of it. You're lol cows now.
I thought that I didn't think it was
no one cared. No one gave a fuck.
One of these like all-time classic shows, but there's a lot of really good matches, a lot of blood, maybe too much. And it's the same thing as every show. And Tony Khan actually was asked and sort of addressed it without really answering it about the length of the show. I think this one went to about what was about 12:15, 12:20 Eastern, I think. I just think that AEW,
that's way too long, bro.
You should be doing afternoon pay-per-views. And
they should just shorten them, make them better.
That way you don't have to cut down on the time of the show, and people aren't going to be as tired in the building.
No, people are tired. People are tired regardless of what time you put the show on. They're going to be tired. So if I wake up in the morning and I just start screaming for 4 hours straight, 5 hours straight, it makes no difference than if I go at 5 o'clock and I scream for 4 hours or 5 hours until 10 p.m. Like, you know what I mean, dude? It's going to make zero difference.
11:30. He kind of indicated that when they go back to Sundays at the start of the year, if they're doing Sunday nights, that he won't go past midnight.
So now it's moved to Sundays, moved the time up. If he's on Sunday, he won't go past midnight. So hopefully the shows are earlier, even though I spurged out and told Bryan that I fucking didn't think he should move the shows back or whatever.
Yeah. He thinks that's Saturday you can do it because UFC does it, because boxing does it. And that's true.
And that is true. And so Dave posted some shit about, where is it? I want to find it. He was talking about how there was more interest in Full Gear than any of these other pay-per-views recently. So here, so Wrestling Observer Radio says that Full Gear probably had the biggest buys since All In Texas. What the fuck? No. Numbers are way up from the last 2 pay-per-view shows, so it was a successful show. So the numbers were up, according to Dave, from the last 2 pay-per-views, and it probably had the biggest buys since All In Texas. Right? So Switchblade posts this. The numbers only Dave sees are up, while search interest in AEW Full Gear was up from Wrestle Dream, but down from All Out and Forbidden Door. YouTube live pay-per-views views for Full Gear peaked at 1.8K, up from 1.7K for Wrestle Dream, but down from 2.1K from All Out and 5.2K for Forbidden Door. So again, Dave talks about, like, we've been chronicling all of these shits. And you know, it's funny. I'm about to pwn Dave, and I did this. I brought this up on another show, but I'm about to re-bring it up. Dave fucking recently brought up the Google Trend analytics for UFC 322, was it? Sorry, had a 2 in it. And if it wasn't that one, it was the one before. But he was talking about how the Google Trends were down or whatever the fuck for this pay-per-view. So he'll talk about it with UFC because he has no vested interest in protecting any company. But when it comes to AEW and WWE and shit, he doesn't look at the Google Trends. And he doesn't look at these things. He doesn't look at that as a metric of how you could measure or at least factor into, because he doesn't study and learn. That's the goddamn problem. He just rejects and denies facts. You know what I mean? So he fears facts. And so we covered it on the show. When it comes to UFC, he was talking about Google Trends and analytics because he doesn't care about PFL and shit like that. He doesn't care if UFC is doing good or not. When it comes to AEW, he's not looking at this shit, then he's being dishonest and he gets everything mixed up and backwards. Wrestle Dream had the least hype and no one cared about All Out. There were more people in it compared to Forbidden Door, but we're looking at it right here. Okay? And All Out, there was like no hope, no hype on that show either. Like leading up to it, I remember talking about it on PWT Live and shit. And Wrestle Dream, there was no hype at all, and Nuge really didn't seem like they wanted to be a big overly cross promote with AEW and shit like that. They didn't want to be a big prominent part of that, and their own shows that are upcoming, as we pointed out. And so Full Gear was up compared to Wrestle Dream, but All Out and Forbidden Door, which were kind of snoozers, even had more interest than Full Gear. Even Dave was just talking about there's tons of news, but I mean, well, you know, the show's really long. And so then he just changes the subject. And it's like, well, Dave, address that. Why is there no hype around the news? Why do you not even care? Why are you snoozing on the news? Why'd you hit snooze on the news too? Why is it not trending? Because no one gives a fuck. And these analytics back it up. And it's funny that for MMA, you'll use Google Trends. You never look at this. So the YouTube live numbers, again, the last live show we did, or perhaps the one before, we showed an updated Nielsen chart that shows that YouTube is the dominant force. They have, like, I think above 13% of the market share. WBD has the absolute last. They have like 1.3% of the market share out of all the streamers. And so let's say people were buying this pay-per-view on HBO Max, and then you look at the YouTube numbers, which I believe you can buy the pay-per-view. And if you're in the live chat, it's a good indicator of interest on the show, right? And Switchblade takes a look at all of that shit. So Full Gear peaked at 1.8K, which was up from the peak 1.7K from Wrestle Dream, down from the 2.1K for All Out, and 5.2K for Forbidden Door. So Dave just says, well, it probably did the best pay-per-view numbers. I bet it didn't. I bet that they're around like the 80,000 mark. Now let's give them 100,000. Dave will say it's 130,000. He's a fucking liar, dude. He's just lying about this shit. And I mean, the Amazon numbers, I guess, okay, we don't know them, but Dave doesn't know them either. And the last pay-per-view, I think it was the last pay-per-view or the one before, they had to refund all the pay-per-views bought through Amazon. So like that counted for nothing. Didn't even matter how many people watched it. It doesn't even count. And again, he just doesn't accept or understand this shit. He just refuses to acknowledge this shit. And here's Dave, like Meltzer said, what the GOAT. He posted this last night on Wrestling Observer Radio at the 1 hour 25 mark. We learned that Dynamite Dave thinks Nielsen families have to press a button on their remote every 5 minutes to confirm they haven't fallen asleep or walked out of the room. Who is feeding him these lies? Now, is that true, or does someone sent him a DM? Dave said you have to hit the Nielsen button every 5 minutes. That's a total lie. I just got to this part. Imagine thinking people would agree. It's so funny. People just fucking Just hate logging Meltzer. He's such a lol cow. Would people would agree to push a button every 5 minutes? They watch a show, or else they're determined by Nielsen to be asleep. Yeah, I just don't know if that's how it works. I don't know if Meltzer said what clipped that either, but that second part is just an image of the timestamp there. But if that's the truth, then I guess that's, I mean, okay, every 5 minutes you have to hit a button. I just don't believe that at all. And then Dave Meltzer says this, like, did Ariel Helwani tell Vince Russo that he's out of touch on modern cable ratings? Did Ariel tell him that he's out of touch on modern cable ratings? Dave, what are you talking about, bro? You are the most out of touch motherfucker that exists. And then Disco, so are you. You gotta hit him with a learn Meltzer Inferno. So he says that it is probably the biggest number since All In, which is better than I expected. You say this about every show. The numbers that I've seen are way up from the last two shows, so it was a successful show.
Liar!
Are you sure about that, buddy? Liar! Don't believe you,
Tell
buddy.
Us what you know, you goddamn liar!
Don't believe you, buddy. So here is Dave sweeping for AEW some more before. We said sweeping a bunch, right? But it's what he did. He just grabbed the broom. He's the new 5-star cleaner Dave Kenny Omega Meltzer here. Just sweeping. And sweeping like fucking curling there, buds. Like a good old curling match there, buddies. And Dave says, I've never heard of any problems with Mercedes Moné losing, but you shouldn't be beating Mercedes often, which I guess is kind of true. But of course, he's never heard of. And then a picture of Hurt Syndicate. They just don't want to lose, continuing this fucking narrative. And like, that's a problem too. Like, Stone Cold's one of the biggest stars in the industry. Some would say the biggest. You could argue the biggest, and he fucking didn't want to lose to Brock and fucking dipped out. Like, sometimes it's just got to make sense, and you got to make it make sense to the artist, especially when you're Tony Khan and you ain't even really cooking. Like, Vince was cooking, so Stone Cold could trust him, but there comes times where the actors got to fucking check the director as well. There's some times where it's like, no, we got to do this. We have to make this call, and I'm going to do it this way, or just do this take this way, and then it fucking works, or, or vice versa. But primarily it's like Tony Khan, he's the main guy, right? He hasn't really cooked. A lot of shit fell in his lap. Anyways,
All right, this person here says, I'm getting Malachi Black Miro vibes from Hurt Syndicate, which is evident from MVP on commentary in the speedball match.
Oh my God.
What can TK do to get ex-WWE acts to not want?
Which is evident from commentary. So is commentary burying Hurt Syndicate on their show? This is what I'm saying.
Oh my God.
What can TK do to get ex-WWE acts to not want to go back? Does he need a bad cop to his good cop?
The fact that Bobby Lashley has taken 0 pinfalls and he's not in the Continental Classic, and Shelton's not in the Continental Classic.
That's why. So thank you, Dave, actually, for pointing that out. Thank you, Dave. Based Dave. Here's a based Dave flute. We're very reluctant to give these out these days. But I'm happy he pointed that out, because it just proves that records don't matter. And that's part of the bullshit when Tony Khan goes on Ariel Helwani and he's like, fucking, oh, the records restart at the start of the year and shit. Like, people just think that that's clown behavior, because to even say that, who are in the weeds, who actually understand what's going on, because it's like, dude, Lashley's undefeated. Your records don't matter. Don't try and go on the MMA show now and pretend they do, bud. Like, Lashley should be the world champion. It should be Lashley versus Joe in a fight pit. I can't believe even WWE never did it. I was yelling about it 2 fucking years ago, 3 years, whenever my show started, and Lashley just left WWE for AEW and shit around then. And I was talking about Joe and Lashley in a fight pit, how they didn't do that. is beyond me. Or like Brock versus Joe in a fucking, or Lashley versus Brock in a fight pit. Those are all matches. And you had the fight pit match was over. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? So, yeah, anyways, they've worked shoots with Wardlow and Jake Hager. Wardlow, who didn't even need that. Not to say it didn't even work. It worked poorly. I think it worked pretty well. But like Wardlow didn't need to have a fake shoot fight with Hager. Do one of those. They did it in TNA. You're already copying everyone's shit. But Joe and Lashley in a cage, that's not going to draw. Or just Joe and Lashley, period. No garbage. Do it in a fight pit. Owen Hart, Ken Shamrock, Lions pit style. You guys remember those matches when Owen Hart and Ken Shamrock like fought in the dungeon? They did one in the dungeon too. Shit was awesome.
They're not in the tournament because one of the things about the tournament is that unless you're the winner of the block, which neither of them would be, you're gonna have to lose. So, you know, I mean, you can watch. I mean, you can tell the guys that don't want to lose, or that Tony, you know, whatever. You can see it. It's not like, you know, and they all deny it. But I mean, you can watch the booking. And I know some people will jump on Mercedes.
You can
Mercedes
watch the booking. We'll just watch how they're booked. They clearly don't want to lose to guys. Well, why is Tony just booking them to lose to everyone? And why wouldn't this be a discussion before he signed them? At what point is it Tony's? You just said the booking. Who takes credit for being the booker, the CEO, the head of creative? Why can't he force these guys to do fucking jobs and shit? Like, what's going on? You have to put some blame on Tone. 100%. I don't blame Lashley for not wanting to lay down for guys as much as I blame Tone for just bringing guys in and then letting them walk out of TV and do all this shit to him, walk all over him, and then go on aerial or have Dave fucking defend Tony Khan and go, oh, you know, they say he gets walked all over. I mean, who was sweeping for Tone? Was that Tone? Who? Oh yeah, Ariel asked Tone. He's like, oh, there's rumors, you know, you get walked all over and shit. Tony's like, oh, I don't. Nah, dude, you do. Like this, it's people are smacking each other. They're fucking front face locking Jack Perry. There's multiple backstage fights. There's fucking John Moxley is on his wife's podcast going, it's the most bitchy high school drama locker room I've ever been in my life. These guys don't want to lose. They don't lose. These guys come and go as they please while they're pursuing Hollywood careers. These other guys don't want to lose, so they just get sent home and you have no ideas for them because it's not that you don't have ideas for them. It's that you fucking can't say anything to them, so you're just paying them $1 million a year to sit at home. That's fucked up, Dave. This is Tony Khan's fault. I know people want to blame Mercedes. No, you want to blame everyone but Tony and yourself for defending this shit.
When the time is right. And I've never heard of any problems with Mercedes losing, but you shouldn't be beating Mercedes often. With Miro and Black, my gut is maybe mentally your idea is that you want to protect yourself before you go back, and you don't want
always
people to
about
see you
that. Before you go back? No, it's not even about going back. It's about like you don't want to fucking lose to like Orange Cassidy and shit, bro. Look at who's on their show. You don't want to be in a tag match. And it's Aleister Black and Brody King, and they're fighting Garcia and Yuta and eating pinfalls and shit. That's not going to help them just in AEW or anywhere. Okay, Black worked with Rhodes. People worked. Rusev worked with Andrade and shit because it made sense. You got to make it make sense. Look at MVP and Hurt Syndicate, bro. They worked with Gates of Agony. Because they were like, we can help these guys. These guys look legit. We can, them beating us and being in the mix with us will help them because they seem like they could actually whip our asses if we got in a street fight. You know what I mean? Like the size, you could actually measure them up. That's all it is, dude.
As a guy losing a lot.
It's not just about, I'm going to go back. If Aleister Black was like making shitloads of money and AEW was equal to or just below WWE in terms of like attendances and they were booking shit well and he felt his voice was being heard and he isn't like, you gotta understand, man, like who people have trained with as well. Like when CM Punk tells the stories about, oh yeah, I had my guys had my back during the Jack Perry shit and the Buck shit and all that. He's talking about Black in them. Okay, well, Black fucking trains Muay Thai and shit. I'm training Muay Thai and not like Eddie Kingston. Like he for real kickboxes and shit. Punk train in Milwaukee with them boys, man. Like Black's been up there or down there, I guess, for me, but up there for you guys. Like, you know, you have to understand all these connections as well and shit like that, to where Black is like, what the fuck is going on in this place? Like, I don't even want to come to work here because I was about to spin kick Jack Perry's head off for fucking with Punk. You know what I mean, dude? There's elements of that too in this. All the point I'm making is it all goes back to the booker. It all goes back to the booker. There's all of these interpersonal, everybody's clicked up like a high school. That's what Moxley said. And everybody's wives are getting hired and shit, which is fine. They do that in WWE too. Me and JJ have broken down why that can, I think we did that over on his show. We broke down why, like, that's an issue. That can be an issue. And it became an issue for Cross. You've seen that with Cross and Scarlett as far as them staying in WWE and shit. And, but so that's across the board. But as far as like this guy's wife is going to run our t-shirt, our marketing of our merch and shit. Well, look at how that blew up in their face. Look at, they bring Alex Windsor, shove her down our throats, send her to fucking ROH. No one even really knew who she was. Everybody pretended to be hype over it, or all the sickos did. Like, it's that sort of shit that people look at that and it's gross to them and they don't want any fucking part of that. And even with Miro, them bringing Lana in and doing this weird, they all criticized fucking Vince for doing like a cucking angle, and then all of a sudden she's just like teamed up with Andrade and not Rusev, and then they have this moment and then they're both just out of the company. Like, it's shit like that. You can tell it's weird and clicky, and there's weird like just everybody's doing their own thing, and you feel that more than ever since like Punk tried to get everybody on the same ship heading in the right direction. Rhodes was trying to do that too. It seems like everybody's just kind of doing their own thing, and that's how you get the Jericho Vortex, or you get the Codyverse, or you get like the Elite are just always off doing whatever the fuck they want. That was an early criticism of AEW as well. It was like, you know, Kenny Omega's just booking the women's shit, Young Bucks are booking the tag shit, and then Rhodes is booking this, and people like Jim Cornette and them, which we're going to get to in a minute, they called it out. They're like, that's not going to work well in the long run. Now, early on, they had it figured out, but hey, man, and even I, as a sicko early on in the early years of AEW, even though it is sort of in the early years, if you really think about it, but in like year 1 and 2, that was a criticism I'd hear, and I'm like, well, they're making it work. Like, it is working. Everything is working pretty well, and they have like defined divisions and shit. That's what I really liked about early AEW, and the records were cool and stuff like that. But yeah, people were right. The records aren't going to work after like a couple years. And people were right about like the compartmentalization, like letting Kenny do this and then letting this guy do that. Eventually it's all going to come to a head. And it seemingly did. And that's why Rhodes bounced. That's why Punk bounced. Punk came like trying to clean up a mess in a way. So I don't know, man. It just seems like cope from Dave, and he never will accuse Tony Khan of shit. And it looks like Dave Meltzer here has a black eye. He's got a
matches before you go back. But like I said, I don't think that Benjamin has that in his head at all. I don't think Benjamin can go back. They cut him. You know, he's not young.
I don't think he can go back. He's not young. They cut him. Well, why couldn't he could go be a coach or something, bro? Like, what are you talking about?
So many young people coming in. Not that he isn't good enough to be there, because he is. But I don't think Lashley wants to go back either. You know, like with Miro and Black, you know, and others, you know, it was very obvious that they wanted to go back, and that, you know, that created some scenarios.
That created some scenarios, Brian. It's obvious with them. It's obvious because they've been booked there. It'll be obvious.
All right, as Rosier says,
once you deem it obvious, Dave, because you're a dumbass. And also, Lashley's just making shitloads of money, so he just doesn't really care about that. So Dave to the rescue again. Well, he's been Super Dave on. He's been on the rescue this entire time. Okay, so let's get into here. I'm gonna check chat here. Sorry, I didn't see this. Sauce Inc. for 2 says, I loved seeing TK in episode 4 of Stranger Things. Bro, I'm not there yet. No goddamn spoilers. I'm not there yet, but Sicko Vecna, dude. That's one of the funniest things I think I came up with.
You gotta be a hoe.
But it's hard. I think Dave's Sicko Vecna. I think Tony Khan is like the mind flare. I think Brian's just a Sicko Gorgon. You know? And I'm L, dude. I'm just blowing all these motherfuckers up, dropping heat with my mind, dude. It's fucking... I'm Phil L, right?
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
So the last thing, what has this show been? 2 hours. Damn it. Can't be an hour and a half. Not when you let it accumulate throughout the week. You hit about 2 hours. But Dave Meltzer, he went off on old podcasting grifters. Right? And we talked about him sweeping for WWE. And he was pardon me, he was sweeping for AEW, not for WWE. And I just fucked up. But Dave Meltzer responded to this person who limits who can view their posts. I don't know what happened here, but Dave Meltzer says, bring this up with Garrett for our show in 2 weeks. I actually have a lot to say on that subject. And he's talking about these old bad faith podcast grifters, which is what Dave Meltzer is. It's literally what he is. And so it's projection, and he exists in this fucking bubble. That's why I'm blocked here. I can't even interact with him. And this gentleman says, I'm glad that you were beginning to directly address the grifters, bad faith people. AEW is literally the second most successful U.S. wrestling promotion in history. Impressive, since the number one had a slight 40-plus year head start and had a 10-plus year monopoly on the national market. And I mean, guys, that is fucking cope. Quit coping about this shit all the time. Like, full stop.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Nike outsold Adidas global sales in like after a 20-year head start. We could say this all the time, like about everything. We could apply it to so many different fucking things. And we've broken this down all the time. This is a fucking stupid ass argument, this head start bullshit. It just, if it's the best show, if it's so much better, then why does the head start matter? Why are the ratings lower? Why are the attendances lower? If it's the best booker, the best show, and Glenn Gilberti pointed that out, but it's just the truth. Like, if it's the best everything, if the best guy's Tony Khan, then why is it considered by the majority of people
The best guy's Tony Khan?
It's all you need to ask yourself. This isn't rocket science here. And so this guy goes, I'm glad you're finally calling them out. Nope. You're not calling anybody out. The 66 or 67 year head start. Yeah, it's hilarious watching those guys with their narratives about money losses, not realizing they became outdated and out of touch well over a year ago. So Dave keeps saying that he lives in this fantasy land that doesn't exist, where AEW's making money hand over fist. $3 million a week, Brian. But he's sitting here saying, so because of that, this lie that no one can prove and Tony Khan won't confirm, and he said hopefully become profitable. We broke that down in an interview he did with Barstool. He said, I'll hopefully become profitable with AEW and shit. And we pointed that out. And Meltzer goes, about a year ago, now they're making money. Here's the problem, though. A year ago, at the end of this year, they didn't make all the money back from AEW's inception, so they'd still be in the red. But even if you want to say they're making some money this year, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it at all, and nobody's come out and said that. And it's just you lying, Dave. And we catch you in so many lies, it doesn't matter that you're saying this. And he goes, they're playing to an audience of rubes. You mean bigger audiences than yours? You mean bigger audiences than yours? Dave's trying to tell everyone that he would go on the show Who Wants to Be a Fucking Millionaire, and he would get stumped on a question, ask the audience, and then the majority of the audience is like, dude, Like 80% of the audience is going, dude, it's the answer's D. And then Dave's gonna like pick A just because it's well, actually, there's more Grok's wrong about this, Bryan. Actually, and then Redax will point to the exception, like what Bryan did earlier with AJ Styles. You'll point to the fucking exception and not in general. Well, in this one instance, someone didn't follow Ask the Audience and they got it right. You know what I'm saying? He's the type of guy who will just do that. It's like he's fighting just to fight. He's just he's sicko Vecna. He just won't let go, dude. And let his soul, right? Like that's when Vecna got tossed into the upside down. And this is last season shit. This isn't new stuff. When Vecna got tossed in the upside down, he just wouldn't let himself die, bro. He became one with the sickness. Gonna come on, get down with the. And so Glenn Gilberti says, could somebody using the Head Start argument explain in context what that actually means and what specifically is preventing AEW from catching up? What is WWE doing that AEW is not capable of doing? Or that you motherfuckers claim that WWE is doing worse is what I would love to add on to that. Like, what exactly is it? No one has an answer to that. Not even Lex. Lex, what is it?
I don't know.
Me neither, dude. So, Dave Meltzer, he just starts melting down about Eric Bischoff and shit. And so Meltzer said, what posts a response? And Fightful says, quotes this, Eric Bischoff, Tony Khan being disrespectful to Ted Turner made me lose respect for him. So Dave Meltzer goes, Eric has a show this weekend, which, by the way, is outdrawing Dynamite. Remember when Dave said, oh, well, Conan and Eric Bischoff have the chance to shut Tony up? Well, Conan's doing that with AAA and Eric Bischoff's doing that with RAF, motherfucker. So that blew up in your face. We're going to fuck you up with this too. He says, Eric has a show this weekend. He's too busy making up that Khan was disrespectful to Turner, which never happened. I was there for the line, which was not disrespectful. And this is your problem, Dave. People don't care what you say or think or your interpretation of shit. They just think you're redacted. They don't care. They think you're a liar. So it doesn't matter if you were there. We don't trust you. Or making up things I've said when he never reads, listens, nor has a clue. Oh, come on now, Dave. That's not very fair. And Conrad Thompson, you come after fucking Phil Marks over the NWA title. Why don't you call out Uncle Dave? Because, hey, Conrad, because I know you're listening. Conrad, guess what? Dave is calling you out and saying, now he's calling you a liar. Because what 83 weeks is Conrad Thompson reading a Dave Meltzer quote directly from The Observer, and then Eric Bischoff reacting to it and discussing what really happened or what happened from his interpretation or his point of view during that time in WCW history or whatever. So Conrad, instead of melting down on me about the NWA title and insinuating that I want people to get sued when that's not what I insinuated at all. How about you call Dave out for this horse shit? And I hope you did. I hope Conrad quote tweeted this and went, well, come on now, Dave. That's not very fair. I have a promo code below. Chat me up about how that's some bullshit. I'm the one. I read the quotes from The Observer and Eric reacts to them. That's what happens on their show. So Dave just lying here. Oh, they just make up things I say. Nope, they're just reading what you said. Nor has a clue of what I think about almost anything. Well, he has a very good clue because he tried to bring you in. He used to read the shit rag back then. And now he reads the old shit and reacts to it on his show. He knows exactly what you have to say. We all see your tweets. You think we all don't see your tweets, stupid? This is a public forum. This isn't your message board, stupid. Please, he says, nor has a clue of what I think about almost anything to promote his own event. Please, I actually know the people on your show. I want some storylines, backstories, booking progression, etc. Joe Silva did it for years running monthly. And he says, please, I actually know the people on your show. On Eric's show? Dave, MMA fighters think you're redacted, bro. Okay. You look at Google Trends for UFC, and then you don't do that for AW and shit. So don't start bringing up MMA, because it's just going to make you're just going to discredit yourself for when it comes to pro wrestling. Talking about Joe Silva did it for years running monthly. It's real American freestyle. It's amateur wrestling. It's not MMA, you fucking dumb fuck. And also, Bischoff is out drawing dynamites, which is what you said he wasn't going to do. He's already doing it. He's holding a show, I think, on Thanksgiving weekend. Is it not? When is his next show, RAF? Isn't it the same night as Survivor Series? He sold like over 4,000 tickets for that show. For the RAF coming up. That's pretty fucking good, buddy. So if I was Dave, I would just shut the fuck up. And then, of course, Tony Khan, like, this just blows up in Dave's face because he's a shill. And this is why, Bryan, you stupid idiot. This is why it looks bad when Tony's calling Dave on the phone, because they have this weird relationship where Dave just sweeps for Tone, and Tone's calling him on the phone, and he's pushing ideas. And
The best guys, Tony Khan.
Dave wants to talk about, he knows nothing about what I think, but then Dave doesn't even know what Tony Khan thinks while he's defending Tony Khan. Tony Khan never said anything. So Tony Khan tweeted this out. I'd never met Ted Turner. It's very possible Ted Turner's smarter than me, but he didn't know 1% of what I know about professional wrestling. So Meltzer's like, I was there. I was in the room when Tony said what he said. The best guy. Buddy, he publicly tweeted this out. Conrad, Dave's calling you a liar. Call him out. Don't worry about me and my NWA takes, bud. Tony Khan says, I know about professional wrestling, or he doesn't know 1% of what I know about professional wrestling, or WCW would still be on TNT TBS. AEW's here to stay. Watch Rampage live. And he did that promoting Rampage, which isn't even on the air anymore. Oh my God, bro. Oh my God. That fucking rules, dude. Oh shit, that's so amazing. Live tonight on TNT, or watch TNT app on your phone or any device. Rampage no longer exists. Just a self-felt from fucking years ago. So, yeah, man, he took shots publicly at Ted Turner. So, Dave, you're a fucking liar. Meltzer said, says you literally take time out of your once-a-year vacations to log on and defend Tony and AEW like he's Private Ryan, and you're trying to save the last surviving brother in World War II. Despite how busy Eric is tweeting, he's still beating your illegitimate son's dynamites. And it's true, man. So they're set up for 4,400. This was 2 days ago, and this post was 2 days ago from that. So this is 4 days ago. They were at almost 4,000 sold for RAF, dude. RAFPECT. Find out what it means to EZE. He's destroying you, bro. And I want to be friends with Conrad. Oh, come on, Conrad. That's not very fair to come after me for defending NWA. I thought you would care about the history. Chat me up about Starrcade 97 and Sting not having a tan. So here's Dave Meltzer in his take. He says AEW grifters need new material. Meanwhile, Dave, you're grifting off AEW. You're the one grifting off them. Everyone else is just pointing out the truth. You're supposed to be the biggest, all the biggest voices in the space. Sweep. Like a curling match. And so we call it out, and that shit's blowing up, and you're talking about all the old timers. The old timers are calling out where it's going to fail, and they know where it's going to fail from experience. And maybe they're a little more staunch about it because they're going, no, I was there. If they make this mistake, this is going to fuck up. I've been there, done that. And I know from experience. Should Tony listen to all of these guys 100%? No. Absolutely not. Should he listen to some of them? Did he claim he used to listen to some of them? Why should he listen to you? Why do you get phone calls from Tone? and you push the narrative. I pushed for this to happen on the show. They chose not to do it. Why are you allowed to do that? Why would Bryan go, oh, well, he actually talks to reporters. Yeah, and he talks to pods that get no views too and shit, and so do these wrestlers, because that's who they're allowed to talk to. People who fucking sweep for them. He's only back on Ariel because he said it on air in the interview. Well, you started saying nice things, so I'm glad to be back. So he had to start saying nice things in order for you to go back on the show. It's bullshit, right? You would get, he should be so happy that people who get the views, Bischoff can talk about NWO and shit and get views, bro. He doesn't have to only talk about this stuff. So it's like, if Tony's calling all the reporters and shit, why is it only the ones who are friendly to him? Why is it Elboo and these creeps? Why wouldn't he go out to like a Bischoff or Conrad and reach out and go, hey, can I go come on your guys' pod? Your guys' pod gets way more views than ours. Is it because he's afraid he's going to get criticized? Well, that's not good. That's unhealthy. So I just don't understand what Dave's, and meanwhile, you're the one grifting off AEW. You are doing, you're doing 50% off deals. Let's read again, definition of grifter. We've done this before. Of grifter. A person who engages in petty or small scale swindling. So what you're doing, man, is you're taking the smallest wrestling audience. They're one of the smallest audiences in wrestling. If you guys, you're lying to them, telling these people that you're the number 2, you're about to beat SmackDown. Meanwhile, you're doing 50% off sales for the last year straight. Okay. And you're just ripping these dumb fucks off. You're writing, oh, this is 5 stars and this is 5 stars. I promise. And you're just preying on like the fucking lowest form of these fucking sickos who don't care about AEW. They would just watch move highlights. They'll all tell you this on Twitter and shit. I don't care if it goes out of business. Who cares? Why do you care about that? It's like, well, exactly. You don't even care about AEW. And engages in petty or small scale swindling. You arguing with people over petty shit as well, and doing what for this access for you to go, I'm right. My booking, my vision of booking. I mean, there's 1,000 people at these shows, but Tony Khan keeps calling me on the phone. And because of that, this certain amount of sickos are giving me $15, and the ones that I can maybe rope in who don't already buy my shit, I'll give them half off. Because fuck the people who are still paying me all this time. The redacted of the most redacted still paying me this whole time. Fuck them. They're too stupid. So I'll fucking swindle everyone else at 50% off. And I'm just going to grift to these guys about how great AEW is. So to me, and I don't even call Dave a grifter, but if he's going to call other people grifter, bro, you're grifting by definition. Bischoff talking to a larger audience than you and in passing trashing you or Vince Russo or whatever, that's not grifting off AEW or whatever the fuck. Just because Tony's in the news and we're all just reacting to shit, we're all just reacting to what's going on. And just because, Dave, you last year make up that people are dead before they aren't, or you listen to fucking Discord spreadsheets that are fake, and you say, I have the scoop on the WBD deal and all this shit, and then you get caught in that shit and people roast you for it. They're not grifting on AEW. You're just a dumb fuck, and AEW's funny to laugh at. It's pretty simple. Anyways,
it's really funny, kind of like the grifters. They're so anti.
Kind of like the grifters, just like labeling people the grifters. They're just grifters. They're grifting to more people than I am. But they're just small scale petty. What are they doing? I don't know.
Budget, and he doesn't have a budget. It's like, dude, they used to cut my budget. It's like they cut your budget because the freaking company was on verge of losing $80 million in a year. They had to cut the budget.
I mean, yeah. Like, if people want to say Conrad is like, I don't know, Conrad runs fucking ads like crazy and shit. You guys are right about that. Like, their ads are fucking over the top with like, how it's integrated. Like they're straight up selling you like jewelry and shit on 83 weeks. It's like, bro, the fuck, man.
Talking about, oh, you guys like Ricochet are stealing money from a rich kid. And it's like,
they're stealing money from Tony. Well, not stealing, but you could say maybe it's stealing if they're not drawing. Like no wrestler in AEW's made a return on their investment, on Tony's investment in them yet. None of them did. Punk, that's why Punk was like, I'm drawing you your first fucking $1 million gate. And then we all went, whoa, he drew their first $1 million gate. He's paying all these people millions of dollars. There's a bunch of people getting paid millions and then a bunch of low tier people getting paid nothing. That's fucking crazy, man. So yeah, Ricochet has not made the return on his investment back yet. Well, yeah, they have 3.6 million a week. Prove that number. Well, if you just do the simple math on WBD saying we'll give them upwards 180, roughly about this much if everything goes according to plan. And that didn't happen, Dave. The
rich kid's making money. Hey, it's like,
hey, the rich kids. Oh, we need that for the soundboard. The rich kid's making money. Hey,
the rich kid's making money.
He's not making money, bro. He's not. Then why do the sets look like shit and everything looks downsized and they can't even get a ring in Australia and shit? It doesn't look like they're making money. So they're making all this money and they're just giving us these sloppy, shitty set designs. And it just looks generic, like a generic throwaway WWE show. It looks like NXT Level Up. And they can't even come up with unique pay-per-view designs, really. And they use the LED. They just cop out and fucking use those video boards. And they're not doing anything cool like they did in the beginning. Why are they cutting corners then? Why are they hiring high school workers to set up their residencies and shit, bro? This is all gonna blow up in his fucking face, and I can't wait.
Just in, we have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
Hey, it's like, imagine like a wrestler from the past of all things getting mad that talent is getting paid because the company's revenues are high. Super high, really. Other than
they're high, they're super high. Dave, you're super high, dude.
Compared to WWE, but compared to everybody else in history. And it's like
he's on drugs. No,
how are you stealing money from a?
You're on old man medication. It's fucking with your brain.
From a rich kid, when the company is a profitable company, it's like kind of like, it's like you can criticize it all you want. But update your material, because the stuff about losing money that not just certain people, but all these people, they come at me and all this. How much profit are they making? It's like a lot.
Okay. Then prove it. It's like a lot. Prove that. Because we don't believe you. No one can prove that. No one can prove that. A lot. Look at that. A lot. Oh my God, that's a fucking thumbnail, dude. Oh man, a lot are making this. Shut the fuck up. A lot of money. They're making tons.
Hey, do you know what $185 million? Well, this year it's 180 million. You know what 100?
This year it's 180. So it's going down. Do you know what $180 million is, Brian? Yeah. Do you know what $114 million per year is in roster costs, which is a conservative figure that people have estimated? Do you know how much they're paying some of these people, Dave? I know you know, Dave. And I know that you know that I know. I know that you know that I know how much some of these people in AEW are getting paid and have gotten paid over the years. And yes, I'm not, let's say they are a little bit in the green. Good for them. I think, who made the estimation that, I can't remember. Someone made the estimation that the roster alone was 114 million, I want to say, or whatever. It was, I think it might have been Switchblade. And that was like being conservative. That was giving everyone the benefit of the doubt and whatnot.
$80 million does to a budget in a wrestling company. That's a lot of money, So if you want to say that the ratings are down, they are. You want to say they're struggling with live attendance, they are. You want to say the pay-per-views are too long, sometimes they are. But the pay-per-views generally very well received. But if you're going to talk about the idea of budget and money and losses and all of that, it's like you need to get some new material because the stuff doesn't work anymore.
Who is he kidding? Like, who's he even talking to? This stuff doesn't work. Dave, you are in such a bubble. He must realize that the general consensus, the overall popular consensus, is that they're losing money. Dave's talking like, oh, these select few grifters, all these people come at me and break down why they're losing money. People in the business and shit come at me. TV execs and shit come at me. And I'll choose to believe BJ Bethel and make believe that they're making all this money. And I won't listen to any of that shit. But I'm talking to who? You're the one grifting. You're talking to a small group of people. Is it bigger than PWT? Yeah, you've been around 50 years, buddy. Head start. There you go. Apply your own argument to it, Dave. You've been around 50 years. So according to you, you'd be beating me naturally. So it's like, whatever. I could just use your own arguments against you. In that regard, even though I don't give a fuck, who cares? The point is, are you as big as Eric Bischoff and his channel and when he drops a video about my top 5 list of the people that I wish I didn't fire or whatever? No, dude, that shit gets more views. James here, or whatever that guy's name is, gets more fucking views than Dave Meltzer. James here. Is that the guy from Stevie Richards? You know what I'm saying? He gets more fucking views. That top 10 wrestling sicko guy gets more views than everybody. You know what I'm saying? And he's a fucking uber sicko, dude. It's like the majority of people are think that AEW, like, who are you talking to? You're talking to a small fucking audience of people and you're grifting off them. You're just feeding into this bullshit and you're doubling down on the safety net and your friendship with Tony Khan. And that's why you're doing 50% off fucking fire sales, dude. And you need new material, Dave. Your material's been fucking hack and ass forever.
It's really fun.
Okay. And we have responses to all of this. So, Alfred Kunawa posts, lapdog, Dave Meltzer, Jim Cornette needs to get new material. Also, Dave, listen, read. Anything but. I do defend every company when trolls are full of it, though. I started saying AEW was going to struggle in early 2022. Never read, but comments anyway, wasting everyone's time. You should read my Inoki bio after he passed away. Probably best is to actually read. You never read, and comments is about people who clearly... What story are you referring to, and did you read this last week's issue? Did you read the story? Did you read? What do you mean new material? You guys call everyone grifters, and then you say that they don't watch or read your shit, instead of engaging with this shit live on the mic and clipping it and then poning everyone with a clip, because you can't. And your clips are being just trolled online and shit on this show. That's what's fucking hilarious. And nobody's going to read your 80 billion word psychobabble nonsense anymore. Don't you get it? And then shit you tweet out and then block everyone, or shit you keep on your message board doesn't fucking count. You're just grifting off of these motherfucking people, feeding them this bullshit, blocking anyone out who disagrees, trying to create a bubble. And then you're grifting off that bubble, Dave, of people. Okay? Whereas folks like Bischoff will just give hot takes. And it doesn't matter if you like WWE or AEW, they're going to give takes on it. When you want to compare the two like you do, that's what you guys started doing. We're going to beat Raw. All this bullshit. Then that's the narrative. You guys created this narrative. Now you're drowning in it. Now you're coping and fucking seething. They need new material. Dude, this last year they made money. Okay, but then what about all the years and this last year combined? Are they still in the red? Okay, then shut the fuck up. Then shut the fuck up. Oh, so it took them 4 and 5 years and 6 years to actually make money, Dave? So for the last 4 and 5 years, were they not spending $100 million plus on their fucking roster and shit? So they didn't spend 400 million and then now just get 185 million to where they're making a little bit of money. And I think Thirsty Thurston, someone else broke it down and was like, they're making 4 million or whatever this is. I'm just talking out of my ass about the figure, but someone did say, using Meltzer's own math as well, that they would maybe make a bit of money this year or whatever if you just factor in, but it's all private, so no one really knows. And I'm willing to bet they spend, like, Tony clearly is giving them like the best travel and hotels, like Bruv's flying back and forth, you know, and Tony's got a private plane he's sending around. Like, they're not figuring in like how much it costs to fuel that bad boy up and shit, you know. There's a whole other level of fucking money being spent that no one really discusses. But Switchblade, speaking of which, had this to say: Dave is so dishonest. They cut Eric's budget in 99 after he made them 55 million in 98. Eric wasn't in charge in 2000 when they cut the budget, as they were on course to lose 80 million. He was simply brought in to oversee Russo's shit creative. Okay. And with Tone, it's just, he doesn't have that, or they didn't have the luxuries that Tone has and that he takes for granted and that Dave's taking for granted here and that he never discusses. So Meltzer said what? Had this to say. Well, we'll go to this one last. Raj Giri says, that's a bunch of horse shit. Or, yeah, so Eric has shown this weekend he's too busy making up that Khan was disrespectful to Turner, which never happened. Just a reminder, we read that. Screen grab, right? Raj says, that's a bunch of horse shit. In what universe is TK saying Ted Turner didn't know 1% of what I know about professional wrestling, or WCW would still be on TNT, TBS? Not disrespectful. And it's because Dave is disrespectful. He doesn't care. He just disrespects people, but then fucking cries victim when he gets disrespected. Bryan does the same thing. Crying Bryan. They just disrespect people, condescend people, accuse them of not reading or not being able to interpret what the fuck he's saying, even though it's bad grammar, repeat words, and run-on sentences and no fucking punctuation. And Dave is just, he's the sicko Vecna. He's so super disrespectful to everyone. He just blocks out people who are spitting. And again, he sits there and goes, I was here for the line, which was not disrespectful. Well, what about the line that he tweeted out? You're selective with your information and your memory. You're a dumb fuck. And this is the grift. You're grifting off Tony Khan. You're all doing it. You're suckling off the teat. And that's why Dave defends, like, well, if they're in the green, then that means for sure Swerve is the reason for that. And did Swerve make his money back drawing houses? Who do you thank for the houses in AEW when they don't do houses? That's the fucking problem. And they just go, you don't know wrestling, and you condescend, and then you lie and say that your star ratings are objective when they're fucking not, and things like that, and you challenge people, then run away, fucking block them and shit, which is fine. You're free to use your block button, but it's just like, if you're gonna use it and then not accept that you've put yourself into a bubble to some degree, but to Dave, it's like sicko Vecna degree. It's the 33rd degree Mason degree with him of fucking sickery, because he of sickodom. 33rd degree Mason of sickodom over here for Meltzer. Because yeah, it's just, he has no rebut. Like, no one can fucking get through to him. And he just refuses. Anybody who does get through to him, he will respond, but then he dips out. And it's like, okay. And that's fine. It's his social media, but he just can't pretend that, like, Tony Khan on his social media didn't say disrespectful shit that we can all see. Dave's so narrow-minded. This is proof of it. I was there when he said this one thing. No, dude, we're talking about the thing he tweeted out publicly. Like, you're just having weird fantasies about Tony again or whatever. Or this is what I mean. You're like in the room where he privately said, what are you copping to here, Dave? He calls you on the phone. You were in the room when he said some disrespectful shit that we didn't all hear that could be interpreted as disrespectful. And you're not even acknowledging the public disrespectful thing he said. Like, how are we supposed to interpret what you're saying, Dave? Or are you just like making up? Or are you just like losing your fucking touch in your old age and you're getting holes in your brain and you're fucking dementia Dave, and you just don't actually recall things properly? I'm not sure. I really don't know. But Meltzer said what? Puts the final fucking, shoots the silver bullet through the werewolf here. And Meltzer said what? Says, not this decaying old crustacean Dynamite Dave calling Eric Bischoff and Jim Cornette and Conan and shit, by the way. He lumps Conan in there. He just doesn't say it as often because he'll get slapped around with the AAA 1-to-1 comparison. But Grifters, Dave, you once said Vince had nothing creatively for his own son when he was off TV, when he was on jury duty.
This person wants to know, where's Shane McMahon been?
We listened to this earlier in the show, but it just also applies.
Just vanished off television.
The writers haven't had anything for him, and Vince
Nothing for him. He was in the middle of a giant storyline with Kevin Owens. He vanished. How do you have nothing for him?
Well, Vince is the guy who's been writing the show, and he's forgotten about him.
He forgot about his son?
Well, he forgot about his son's angle, yeah. I mean, he hasn't been on.
This person wants to know if you think Terry Gordy would have been a Hall of Fame. This person wants to know.
This person, no names, dude. Just grifting. They're just people to you, man. They don't even have names to you, grifters. Dave Meltzer's the OG, the original grifter, dude. And that's why we clown you guys, because it's just projection, it's seething, and it's cope. You sweep, and then you act like other people are sweeping just because they don't suck balls like you. And it's all for access. It's all for Tony Khan's phone calls. That's why you cover him favorably. If Triple H started glazing you guys, and the same applies to Tone. If interviewers glaze him, he'd be on. If fucking I was glazing AEW, I could get the wrestlers on this show. It's gross, and people aren't willing to do that or put up with that shit anymore. And that was trying Bryan, ladies and gentlemen, who's always a big part of this show.
Bryan.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was everybody's favorite segment turned podcast. And it is called Dave Meltzer's Dumb Moment of the Week. We cooked his ass. Dave's done. Dave's finished. He's burnt up. There's nothing more he can do or say. And of course, Bryan had to get his, of course.
Bryan.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. Here. So Sauce Inc. for 2 says dead lookalike, bro. What? Sicko Vecna and fucking, right? Because he brought up Vecna. Yeah, dude. I'm going to go watch. I'm going to watch for sure. I can't wait for Stranger Things. I've been Phil Marks. This was a Pro Wrestle Time show, 2.5. I don't know. Every week, I guess we're just going like 2. Or something. I don't know. Maybe I can narrow it down. But ladies and germs, thank you so much for being here. I had a blast. That was Dave Meltzer's Dumb Moment of the Week. Until next time, I'll see you in the Upside Down.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. You're overdue. I just felt it's something that makes you look good, and that's cool, and you know, I'm all for it, but I think you need to tone this down because now it's getting obtrusive to the show. But they can go in the afternoon for a U.S.
Hold
show,
on a second.
as they did there, and they
Dave?
can do 180,000 buys for an afternoon show, which they've also done for All In. So
Okay,
we
hold
know
on.
they can do. We know they can do big.
Can I
numbers for an
continue
afternoon.
this before you cut me off? We know
go ahead.
one thing.
Yes.
We know it
No, I'm not
might have done well because
I'm
it went
not-
on first.
I'm not saying it would.
Here's my thing, Dave.
But here's okay. Wait. Okay, here's the thing. Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I mean, it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a match.
That's the problem, Dave. It should mean something to you.
Give him a quick squash win just to show that, like, you know, he's not a loser.